On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we're celebrating something rare and magical in New York City. Homes that feel connected to nature, even in the heart of the city. First, we step inside a historic townhouse in Brooklyn that's been lovingly transformed over decades into a richly layered and deeply personal oasis, complete with a beautiful garden patio. Next, we visit an interior designer's light-filled home in Gramercy Park, where a sleek terrace makes entertaining a breeze. Then we head to Manhattan, where old world charm and poetic romance come to life in a floral-filled retreat. And finally, we visit a 600 square foot Brooklyn apartment that proves small spaces can live large. This summer, spend the hottest months of the year in style with Homeworthy as we visit the most extraordinary homes around the world. From the sun-soaked shores of the Hamptons to the classic beachfronts of Nantucket to the vibrant courtyards of Morocco, be sure to subscribe to Homeworthy's summer series to make every day feel like a vacation. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Come on in, I've been waiting for you. Hey, Homeworthy. I'm Kim White, and welcome to my apartment in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Kim White. I am a makeup artist and interior designer here in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Apartment hunting in New York is stressful, anxiety-inducing. It will make your hair fall out. I landed in this apartment because of my good friend Haddie. She was like, take a look at this studio apartment upstairs. I was in the middle of a breakup. I needed somewhere to go, and quickly I moved upstairs in the studio and lived there for, oh gosh, a little bit shy of 3 years. The pandemic hit, and my neighbor who was living in this unit moved away. I snapped into action and moved downstairs. So I currently live on the ground level, the garden level. Everything is set up in a railroad concept, so all of the rooms are adjoining, and it's just a long trailing apartment all the way to the backyard. So welcome to my living room. This room for me was such a challenge. There's doors and windows and openings and opening. So setting it up was tricky. But one thing for certain, I was not going anywhere without my grandmother's lamp. I love starting a room with a vintage piece, and this piece has so many memories. Like, this piece got me in trouble as a kid so much. Like, if you don't get off that chain, don't pull on that chain. Like, I would get in trouble for this. Like, look, I can do it now. But yes, this piece has so many memories. My grandmother is no longer with us, so having it in my home, it just feels like that moment where I can honor her, and I just think back to my childhood for sure with this piece. I do love incorporating other vintage pieces as well. Cherish and Facebook Marketplace are great resources for that. Like, I got these candlesticks off of Cherish. Honestly, the color palette for this space started with these tones. I knew that I wanted it to be neutral but warm. A full-size sofa would eat up too much real estate, so I opted for these banquettes. My dear friend Haddie is a jack of all trades. She created these custom slipcovers for the banquettes to make them fit seamlessly in a living room setting. But the sneaky bit of it and the way that you use space in New York, like to the optimum premium effect, It is also storage. No linen closet, no problem. So seasonally, I like to change the space around, and I love a good throw. And this season, I'm working with the leather shag rug as a throw. It adds a chunky bit of texture and movement just to kind of pull the space together in a heavy, sizable way. I just love it. And I love the smell of it too. Like leather in the home, smells delicious. So moving from a studio, I had no furniture. And now, like, I have a full apartment. So I was on Facebook Marketplace like a mad woman, just hunting. And I found some really gorgeous pieces like this credenza here. Like, it has a history. It is old enough to still be on wheels. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know, like, this is an old piece, and it came with two. Like, I have this one and a chest of drawers, and I think I paid like $95 for the set. So I was so excited. I've been growing coleus in the apartment all summer long. Now, it's a nice way to bring in like little touches of color. And as you can see, like this one is growing just from a grow light. They are splendid plants, easy to take care of. The only issue that I've noticed so far is fungus gnats, like gnats everywhere, but like I can deal with that. Look at how pretty this guy is. When I moved in, there was like a little heater fireplace that was sitting here, and I tucked it in this area for a good while. Recently, I was on Facebook Marketplace again, and I found a larger fireplace unit, and I went all the way to, I don't know where. I got it all the way home and I dropped it. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but I got to the door and dropped it. Glass was everywhere. So here we are. We're making it work. But I do love it. It lends itself to that like cozy, warm aesthetic that just makes a house a home for me. The fireplace, I decided to paint it black just to really make it heavy and ground this area. Who does a lot of ceramics? This is a vintage piece from Cherish that I just absolutely loved. The lady lounging on the fireplace, like there's nothing more indicative of who I am, like just laid back chill, like a lady chilling, that's me. This table has been in my life for a very long time. This was purchased on a shopping spree with my mother. I think we were at TJ Maxx in Dayton, Ohio, and we had set the table aside in the break room. And this woman was like following us around the store, like kind of like putting everything that we laid our hands on in her cart. And she tried to take my table. My mother was not having that. So as you can see, my mom won, and I've had this table in my life for a very, very long time. What I do love about it is underneath the construction allows for me to tuck, like I'll tuck like blankets and some towels if need be up underneath in the hollows of this table. So it's a functional piece for me, and I've restyled it a million different ways. I have styled, restyled, and styled it again. Another sentimental piece for me, it's a very simple, sturdy option, is this chair. This was my first commercial client. I had the opportunity to style a company called Sit On It's showroom here in New York. That, like I said, that was my first commercial space that I did interiors for. And I took this chair home as a souvenir, and it's one of those things where I know, like when you walk in, you don't know, like, oh, this is baby's first commercial job. But it was. This season, I really went deep and rich with a dark rug. This is from Ruggables. It's their Architectural Digest collection. And I love the way that it pulls like the weight of the room down a bit and just makes it rich and elegant. So thank you, Ruggables, for this beautiful rug, and it just ties seamlessly with my living space, my kitchen, my outdoor space. It's just a rich addition that I love. So I don't have a bunch of space for art in this apartment, but I did incorporate a couple of images from my makeup artistry into the artwork on the space. This is a photo shoot that I did makeup for, and the photographer was like, hey, hop in, you guys have twin hair. And here we are. I saved the images, framed them, and they work very nicely and also give me that sentimental feeling of, you know, this is work that I've done, this is who I am, this is a memory. I am one of those people who has had the chance to do what I love. I recognized at a very early age that beautiful things made me comfortable. Beautiful spaces, beautiful aesthetic, beautiful clothing, beautiful makeup. And that is, I turned my love for beauty into a career in makeup. So I grew up in Ohio. I started doing makeup for my friends and family. Eventually, I started getting hired to do makeup, and I became a makeup artist. A lot of people don't recognize that Ohio has a bunch of large brands like Procter & Gamble and Limited Brands were very big when I lived there, and those were my clients. So being a little bit feisty, I noticed that I'd be on set and they'd fly someone in from LA or New York. And I remember I was on a job. This like changed the whole trajectory of my life. I was on a job and I happened to be standing like right next to the production table. And I saw the invoice for the hair person. They made triple the money that I was making. They were flown in and housed. So I was like, oh, if I'm here, then I'm not gonna mess up the shoot. But I think I need to go there to start to make money. And that is how I ended up moving. I moved to Miami first, and then I made my way to New York. All because of this invoice that I saw sitting on a desk. I was like, you will not best me. So I've been doing makeup here professionally ever since. It's been an exciting ride. Like, makeup has afforded me the opportunity to travel the world. I worked on a travel show. I've had an opportunity to work in daytime television, on, series, fashion shows, Broadway, all of those things. Makeup has put me in rooms that I would never have had entry into. And for that, I am very grateful. So when I moved into the apartment, this bathroom, it's tiny, and it was just jam-packed together. Like, the toilet was here, the sink was here, and the tub was there. And I was like, this is just not functional. So I asked, hey, what if we let the tub go and do a larger shower stall? And that way the sink can have a little bit of breathing room, a little countertop. You're not like jammed up, like brushing your teeth with like a foot on the toilet, basically. He allowed me to make some edits to this space, and it has a much better flow. And as you notice, like, there's a trend in removing the tub and having just a shower. Many hotels are doing that. And, I do have a portable bathtub for those moments when I just want to like soak. So I feel like I'm having the best of both worlds. My daily life, I still have like counter space and I can get ready, but I don't have a luxury bathtub, but I do have a functioning soaking tub. When I moved in, I was like, okay, this area, what am I going to use it for? Let's just throw some shelves up. And I like the way that they turned out. I've had a fascination with skin and beauty and bodies for a very long time. No secret, I'm a makeup artist, so of course, who's surprised? But over the years, friends and family have allowed me to turn a lens on them, and I started to take like little small intimate photos. This was taken in, oh gosh, Cambodia. That's me. I love an ankle bracelet moment. Also, some of my travels are reflected in, just what's around in the space. Like for instance, a trip to Mexico. I got those 2 pressed tin pieces and I just love them. Like they've made their way through many an apartment. So plants in the bathroom are a yes for me. Like plants purify the air and I'm all about that. Like I've gone so far to spoil my plants and to make sure that they're healthy by incorporating grow lights on all of these shelves so that they can grow and be healthy. So yes, I'm a plants in the person. I'm a plants in the bathroom type person. So when you're here, like I said, I'm a makeup artist, so I really appreciate the human form, but particularly hands. I work with my hands and I love handmade objects. So you'll find a couple of hands, my handiwork and handmade things all around my home. What I loved about this building when I moved in, even though my studio was tiny, I really love the whole Brooklyn aesthetic. This is a beautiful brownstone, exactly what Brooklyn is known for. It has such a community feel. So living here was everything that I needed at that moment. And the pandemic hit and here I am, trucking it downstairs to a bigger unit, thank goodness. Classic garden apartment. I'm from Ohio and space is a bit more plentiful in Ohio. So when I moved to New York, I had to pare down quite a bit. So you have to be very intentional about how you decorate a space in New York. Immediately, I knew that in this apartment, I wanted to have a place for family and friends to gather for dinner, like a proper dinner table. So one of my areas, I call it the lounge. It houses my dining table, my bar is in there, my laundry room is in there, but that is where we can have a proper meal, like family style meal. So I really wanted to have a place dedicated for dining. And I was able to eke out a dining area slash lounge right in this space here. Again, I used the storage banquettes. So there's a bunch of light bulbs and tools and all of the inner workings of a home right up underneath there. But friends and family can come over and join me for a meal and we can all sit here and have a proper dinner. There's obviously banquette seating here, but I do have some sneaky storage behind these banquettes where I pull out a couple of folding chairs and have even more seating for friends and family. I love this area. It doesn't get a lot of light, so I wanted it to have reflection to ping the light around the room. I used, much like upstairs in my studio apartment, I used a bit of the gold contact paper just to like reflect the light this way. And then I took on a mirror project that almost killed me. Like I was in here sucking on fumes for days and weeks, and actually, to be honest, for months. But I'm so happy with how these antiqued mirrors turned out. This was a labor of love. I was scraping and painting and sponging, and I put some up. I didn't like them, had to take them down and start all over again. It wore me out, but I have to say it was well worth it because now that they're here, it gives such a warm reflection in this area that it just makes this space that was kind of dead because there is no window in this area. It gives it life and hominess, and it makes you want to sit down and have a meal. I love how this room turned out. And it is, of course, my handiwork. I painted these mirrors by hand. Friends can come in, they make themselves at home, grab some wine, you know, have a seat. And if it's one of those nights, I'll invite them to Club Cavados. In fact, you're invited to Club Cavados too. So right behind these doors is what I call Club Cavados. And it is not only my bar area, you know, we can make a cocktail, all of the things, but it also stores my clothes. In New York, you have to use every inch of space. So like there's sweaters and bags and belts all in these drawers here. So what is that saying? It's a party in the front, business in the back. Well, that's what's happening here in Club Cavados. I don't know if you're familiar. Cavados is one of my favorite brandies, French brandies. So I painted this bar area just to mimic, actually this is Cavados right here. I painted the bar in the same tones, just that warm, earthy, beautiful, smooth feeling of Cavados, like, is reflected all throughout here. I took a chance and I used fine paints of Europe. Now, I don't know if you've painted much, and I absolutely hate painting, but fine paints of Europe makes a beautiful lacquer finish. This is my first go at it. So there is a learning curve and I will try it again, but for a first run, I'm pleased with how it looks. And it also bounces light in this room where there is no window. So even the doors and the ceiling of the bar bounce the light to create that cozy environment. So I recently went to Minnesota and got certified as a 3M installer. 3M makes these beautiful architectural films called Dynoc, and this is actually one of those films. The films are great in a rental situation because you can save a bit of money on like the actual like buying slate for this, and I moved 2 years from now, might be cost prohibitive, but 3M's architectural films like make this area a lot more luxurious at a fraction of the cost. So I'm very excited to put my certification into use very, very soon. So the lighting in this room was important. This is also a Facebook Marketplace find. Like, you can find some great things on Marketplace. Do not poo-poo Marketplace. There are so many great things. This was a $25 purchase, and the woman gave me two. So I have another one. It's not as beautiful as this one, but I have another one just this size in my storage. But yes, it was the perfect addition to a space like this. A dining table was my landlord's father's coffee table. It was in the basement here, and he was like, I know that you'll do something with this. So he gave me the table. It was on like a tree stump at first. So I took it apart and I put it on a swivel base. I'm still working through the process of this, but it does make it a lot easier for friends and I to get seated and move around. So we never have to like pull the table out for someone to enter. We can kind of just swivel the table, which has been like amazing for holidays. Making sure to utilize all the space in this apartment. Behind, we have extra seating, hiding in plain sight. And it makes for a great dinner party. It's the perfect place to entertain. And right next to the dining room is my bedroom. So this is the smallest room in the apartment, It also has no windows. It's like the perfect cave for sleeping. Like I totally hibernate in here just like a bear for sure. The bed provides a lot of storage. It is on hydraulics. It's the IKEA mom bed, I believe. And up underneath are all of my out of season clothing and a few comforters and all of that tucked away right here. When I moved into the apartment, these closets had doors, but in order to use a queen size bed in the space, I needed to remove the doors and replace them with curtains. So I've done that just so that I can utilize the curtains without having it bump into my bed. And right at the end of the bed, you'll see I've had this trunk. I use it upstairs in my studio apartment as a coffee table. Up there, it also held my jewelry. It still does. So many years ago, a trip to Mexico, I saw this headboard by Casamity. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. So I purchased a silver one that I had for, I don't know, like 10 years. And I realized, oh, they make it in a different colorway. They make a gold version. So I reached out to the company. I sold my silver one and replaced it with the gold one. That's how much I love this headboard. I bought it twice. But it's just such a conversation piece. And again, I love handmade things, and the hand craftsmanship of all of this detail really speaks to me. So I'm sure that I'll have this one for just as long. It really warms up this space. And again, when you're in these dark situations where there are no windows, the idea is to bounce the light around, and this headboard does exactly that. Just like my childhood, I've really enjoyed dressing my dresser. It's a functional space as well. I have all of my perfumes here. Like, I love fragrance. I absolutely love to smell good. I've been wearing perfume since I can remember. This is the perfect place for them. And the mirror behind kind of mimics the antiqued mirror of the lounge. It has that little edge work. So I feel like they kind of just tie in together as like a cohesive design throughout the apartment. It has like a bit of a flow. So when I was on the hunt for furniture, this piece, along with the piece in the living room, were a pair, and it has worked perfectly because it holds so much of my clothing. Like, so many sweaters, so many socks, lingerie, everything in here. It's the perfect addition to this tiny, tiny bedroom. So looking back in retrospect, I was that little girl who found comfort in making my room and any area that I was in cozy. Decorating my bedroom or even just decorating my dresser gave me comfort, safety, and a little bit of agency. So as you mature, like, I never let that go. Each apartment, every home, even boyfriend's home, I needed to make myself comfortable in. I know that's like going too far in some ways, but your bathroom's a mess. Let's get it together. So I found myself like, being open to helping people improve their space, like beautify their space, making things more comfy and cozy and functional. Okay, so right off of the bedroom is my office / spare bedroom / workout room. This is a very hard working room. I work on the computer here, friends and family spend the night here, and I also work out in this room. This room does triple duty. Right away when you walk in, here's another opportunity that I had to put the lens on friends and family, and also a self-portrait. So I'm very happy with how the warmth of that kind of set the vibe and tone of this room. This is a northern exposure, so it doesn't get a lot of light in this room. I just honored that by painting it black. Since it is so dark and heavy, having a faux fireplace in this little library area really leans into the cozy vibes of the space. Tucked away right next to that, you'll find hard working weights for when I want to work out and like pump a little bit of iron. It's all there, tucked away behind those baskets. I do love riding my bike. I go through bouts. Like sometimes I ride it frequently and then other times I fall off. But right now I'm on. If you're on, find me on Peloton app and let's ride together. One of my favorite workouts is to rebound. And I find that when my rebounder is out, I do it more frequently. So with that in mind, I had it upholstered. So you enter the room and you see this beautiful ottoman, right? Well, it is also my trampoline. So like this is me in the mornings working out here. It's one of my favorite workouts, truly. I like to just like hop on the trampoline every now and then. It like helps me like clear my thoughts or think through something. It's one of those things where you can like get up and it makes you feel invigorated. So having this in the center of the room is a true health benefit for me. Stress relieving, all of those things right here in the center. And when I'm done, it's the perfect place for friends and family to kick up our feet and watch a little bit of television. So I've had this chest for a good while now. I bought it back when chat rooms were a thing and I was searching for furniture. I'd never been to Morocco and I was kind of like in this Moroccan chat room. And I met a woman there who was like, oh yes, I have all of this beautiful furniture. And she started sending pictures and this was one of the pieces. And I purchased it from her. And again, it's one of those things that I've styled in a bunch of different ways. And it has followed me to a bunch of different apartments. And it's a piece, a statement piece that I plan to keep for an eternity. So the heart of every home is the kitchen. And when I moved into this unit, the kitchen it had seen better days. My landlord was very gracious and offered me the opportunity to design this kitchen and utilize the space how I saw fit. So immediately we took down a single row of cabinets and took them all the way to the ceiling. The ceilings are relatively low. Like, I mean, you can see I can touch them, but taking it to the ceiling makes this room look a lot more expansive. So I wrapped the cabinets around a corner and I used a couple of medicine cabinets actually to finish off the cabinets in this area. And as you can see, like they're very shallow, but they hold quite a bit of objects in there, like my teacups and different teas and whatnot. I also added some shelving for storage, but also, you know, to give the kitchen a bit of a vibe. Of course, I have, you know, my cake plates and little tchotchkes here and there. It's like, I love ducks. There's a duck in my life and I kind of follow that throughout my home also. I said I'm sentimental. I'm very, very sentimental. And these people know who they are when they're reflected in the space. But yeah, people are represented all around my home. Up on the shelves, a few cookbooks. My dish towels are here. My mom's old Vision cookware. I recently had her send that to me. Like, there was something about looking at things boil in Vision's cookware when I was a kid. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I need that here. So she sent that recently and I use it. I'm happy to have it. And it means something to me. It's like the story of my childhood in some ways. Recently, I started to dabble a bit with AI. I hopped on and created This art piece here on the shelf, really and truly just to hide the cords to my lighting. But it turned out so nice. I'm happy to have it there. I'm calling it Fruits of My Labor, and it's actually on my website. There's a free digital download. So if you're interested, hop on kimwhitestyle.com and you can find it there and download it for yourself if you like. What really set this kitchen off, I'd have to say, is the wallpaper on the cabinets. And it is a design. I'm a huge fan of Copacabana stone. And I knew that that wasn't an investment that I would want to make in a rental, but I did want to have that look. So I created this wallpaper to mimic that stone. And as you can see, I wrapped all of my cabinets in it, and it gives this kitchen a lot of movement and personality. I really love the way that it turned out. And again, it is one of those things that I have on my website. This one is for purchase, but if you're interested, you can definitely grab this wallpaper as well. As you saw, like, my dining area is a little bit dark and I wanted to follow the sun. I bought this console and this like little stool so that I could sit at the window and have my breakfast, have my coffee when the weather isn't nice outside, so that, you know, so I can, when the weather isn't such that I can go outside. I like to sit in this window and just like feel the sun on my on my face. For a very long time, before I found just the right piece, I had stretched out an ironing board and I had a little stepping stool, and I was just sitting at the ironing board eating breakfast. My friends were cracking up like, why is that iron in your kitchen? It was all just to get a feeling of what the size constraints were in this space without making it feel too tight or too cramped, because I mean, I can stretch my arms out and we're pretty much taking up the width of this whole kitchen. It's not a very big kitchen. It's not very tall and it's not very wide. So each piece has to be carefully picked so that you don't feel overwhelmed in the space. And this one, I'd looked for a while for root tables, but you could never get one that was guaranteed that my legs could slide up underneath. This one from Front Gate is a cast replica of the root tables, so I knew what I was ordering and I knew that my legs would slide up underneath, and it has been a great piece for me. It has served me well. Accompanied by a stool, which of course has more storage. Yeah, it's been a great place for me to just like take my coffee in the morning and gather my thoughts. The kitchen it's packed. I like to eat and I like to cook, so all of these cabinets are chock full of stuff. And I've made sure to arrange them in a way that is also functional. Like my bread boxes in here, all of my spices. I didn't have a pantry and I kept racking my brain like, how can I get a pantry in here? I need some more storage space for food. And it finally hit me to use the space behind the door. So here we are, behind the door storage, double wide. So here we have all of my pantry goods, that all of my dry goods here on these shelves that are attached to the wall, and the doors are, I found on Facebook Marketplace again. The doors were added later, but the shelves are attached to the wall, and it gives me like a shallow amount of space, but it holds so much. And that wasn't enough. So I started thinking again, like, how can I get even more? Let's push over more to the door. So I added a few more shelves in this area too, for all of my canned goods. Like I said, I love to cook, I love to eat, and I wanted to be able to make this space functional for me. So there's storage behind the door here, but when you open the door, this is my favorite part of this apartment, the outdoor space. So as I continue to grow and have the opportunity to express myself, whether it's through makeup or designing interiors, I recognize that I want to share it with a broader audience. So I am going to start a YouTube channel up again, and that way I can film some of the projects that I'm doing and share them and hopefully inspire some of you guys out there with what I'm doing and why. The why, the how, and of course, make it functional and fabulous. The kitchen. And what I love about this area, since you have such a great view of the yard, the two spaces mingle together. So it's just an extension of the way that I want to live, like right out of the window. So one of my favorite parts of the apartment is this outdoor space. I snuggle up in this corner and have my morning coffee. It is the one place in the yard that has a bit of privacy. Like, it's kind of tucked up under here, so they don't see me, they don't see me, they don't see me. And I come out here in my PJs and sit and have coffee in the morning. When I first moved in, all of this was just rubble. So immediately I knew that I wanted to have a seating area. So we carved out a path and built a deck at the end of the yard. It's the perfect place to have it because there's a tree line there, and in the spring, the beautiful magnolia flowers overhang atop of the deck, and it's just like the perfect situation. It's very lovely. But like I said, the yard was filled with garbage, so it seemed like mulch was my best and most affordable option. So I mulched the yard. My friend Denise, she's a scrappy one. She brought over all of this pachysandra, and over the last couple of years that I've been here, it has filled in nicely. And as you see, it's about to flower. She brought the ferns as well, just loaded them up in a truck and we planted them. Even the baby maple. And all of that stuff is growing so nicely now. And each year I try to make a couple of different additions. Some have worked, some have not. Like, I bought a ton of seeds and none of them grew. This year I bought some honeysuckle. It didn't do so great. The ivy, a few sweet potato plants, some jasmine. But yes, trying to create a zen, comfortable moment for myself in the middle of this urban environment. It's the perfect place to grab a book, to just chill out. In the summer, the evenings, you know, the string lights come on and we're out here, we're having conversation, playing music, having a cocktail. It's a great place to lounge, and you forget that you are right in the middle of a bustling city. It's my own oasis back here, and I'm really, really grateful for it. One of the things that inspired me in the design of this space is to bring the same feelings and the same vibe, the same energy from inside outdoors. So I'm test running, you know, a bunch of different materials to see if they can handle the elements. Like, for instance, this marble table. It's been out here now for a couple of years. This year I sealed it and it's been handling the elements nicely, but there's a movement towards outdoors feeling like outdoor living rooms. And this feels like you're inside my home, honestly. One of the things that is key when you live in New York is to try your best to avoid rats. Now, this is a serious conversation. So when we built this deck, we did a trench method. So all around the perimeter of the deck is a buried chicken wire. So you go about a foot deeper than the actual deck with the chicken wire so that rats don't take domicile up underneath your deck. Obviously, it's New York. You're gonna see a rat or two, but that right there, like if rats were like constantly moving back and forth in this yard, I wouldn't even be out here. So just that's key when you're really thinking about designing an outdoor space here in New York. My super, who is lovely, it came out here and I'm like, I want the deck to have an organic feel to it. So we placed the planks just as you would uniformly. And then later on, we went in and gave it the curves and movement so that this area wouldn't feel so blocky. As a renter, I wanted to make sure that cost-wise, I wasn't spending too much. So I opted for all solar lighting out here. So the string lights are solar, all of the spotlights are solar as well. Each of them does have a switch, so they can be turned off. I know that has been mentioned in the past. You can turn off a solar light, just so you know. That's a cost-effective way of getting lighting in a situation when you don't have electricity to run towards it. Home for me is a place where I can totally decompress. It is a place where I recharge. It's the place where I get my best ideas. I feel serene. I feel complete. Yeah, home it's my nest.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Timothy Whealon. Welcome to my New York City apartment.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I love the energy of New York, but I also love that you can be anonymous, and I love having this sanctuary inside of New York, because New York can be exhausting. And I love that I can come up here and I feel like I'm perched like a bird above the city in this like little oasis and green and peaceful, and it's quiet. I'm Tim Whealon, and you're here in my Gramercy Park apartment. I'm an interior designer, but I trained in the arts, so I also help people buy art and do art consulting. This is an Emery Roth building. Emery Roth was an architect who did a lot of buildings in New York in the classical style in kind of the 20s and 30s. And I had just sold my apartment at 39 Fifth Avenue, which was also an Emery Roth building. And I was looking around and I just was so enthralled by the terrace space. The light was so incredible, and the terrace was so incredible, and the views looking north. I had the MetLife Tower. I looked at New York Life, a beautiful deco building and its golden spear on top at night, and I thought, wow, this apartment has possibility. Well, I was very artistic as a child, but my path was I was an English and art history major at Kenyon College, and when I graduated, I came to New York and I did a management training program on Wall Street. And I was a banker in private banking for almost 6 miserable years. I didn't really want to go into banking. I was going to go to law school, but my parents said, you need to get a job. Came to New York, got all kinds of job offers, and it was a great training. But I decided I wanted to get into the art world, so I went back to school with Sotheby's in London. And then I did my second management training program with Sotheby's in New York, and I rotated around every department for almost 2 years, which was an amazing kind of learning environment. And you had any exhibition, you were taken around by the experts in each department, and it was just an incredible learning experience. After that, I started helping people buy art and antiques. I started consulting. Sotheby's asked me to inventory a big collection of decorative arts at 740 Park for Saul and Gayford Steinberg. So I did that, and then one night I went to the theater and I sat next to a lady at a dinner from Aspen who had a bunch of Joan Mitchell paintings, and I love Joan Mitchell. She's one of my favorite artists, and she asked me to do her apartment on Fifth Avenue and 69th Street, right down from my office, and that was kind of the beginning. And I was buying art and antiques for a girl that went to Kenya and her father, and he was building a big house on Sutton Square, and we were buying all the antiques, and I was working with a decorator at the time, and she was overly restoring the antiques and covering them with fabrics I didn't really like, and I kind of thought, wow, I might be able to do this better, and that's how it kind of came. That's how my business kind of started. This is my entry vestibule, which as you can see is very small. So I decided to kind of open it up with a beautiful 1930s Italian mirror that came from Phillips Auction House. And it had a very low estimate on it. And it unfortunately did not go for a low amount. And the light fixture is something that's made by an artisan in Paris. It's all rock crystal. And I just love the star shape, and I wanted a little drama here, and at night you can dim it. And it just gives a little atmosphere since it's not that big of entry vestibule. And then the art on the walls kind of greets you as you come in. I almost treated the art almost like wallpaper. This is one of my favorite artists called Stanley Whitney. And I love works on paper, I love gouaches, I love things that are tactile. So I love that you have a mix of like prints by Ellsworth Kelly, works on paper, and then this is a canvas by a Brazilian artist named Fernanda Gomez, I think. And of course my elephant. I love elephants, and they have to have their trunk up. So that's greeting you with its trunk up to give you some good luck. I just always have loved elephants. It's the logo for my company. Something about an elephant I love, but it's only good luck with the trunk up. So I only collect them with the trunk up. You'll see when you open my kitchen cabinets. This moment here is the first piece of furniture I ever bought when I think I was 27 or 28 years old, and I was doing the management training program at Sotheby's. And they had something called their arcade furniture sale, which is their lower end furniture. And again, it had a low estimate. I think the estimate was like $1,500 to $2,000, but it didn't go for that. But I kept bidding, and I've had it ever since, and I love this piece. It's a very pure piece of English furniture, great color. The bust is a piece of garden statuary that I bought in Palm Beach. And behind it is this like razor blade piece by the German artist Rosemary Trockel. And I just love kind of the juxtaposition of the ancient bust with the contemporary art with a beautiful piece of mahogany. This is Oliver, or Ollie. He's a pretty mellow dog. He's a Canadian Ganaraskin. He likes penthouse living. He doesn't mind the concrete jungle. He's very happy on his terrace. Well, that's one of the other tricks of living in a small apartment. You need case furniture and you need drawers. I keep table linens in here. I can show you, but one whole drawer here is filled with placemats, napkins. This apartment is located on Gramercy Park, and it's kind of a special neighborhood because it's one of the only private parks left in New York. It's gated, it's kept up beautifully, and the architecture around the park is incredible. You have all these 19th century brownstones and buildings and other buildings built in the 20s. You have the National Arts Club, the Players Club, and then if you wind around, you have Irving Place, which is this quaint little street with lots of restaurants and bars. So the neighborhood itself is really special. This space is the heart of the apartment, and what I did is try to maximize the seating in this area because I love to have friends over and entertain. I think I've had 12 people here. What I like is that it's comfortable, and I like that it's low hung and it kind of the extension of the terrace. I often have the doors open here, which is nice, so you get the fresh air. So these John Ray chairs, I sit in them every day, sometimes more than I do the sofas. Some people don't find them that comfortable. I love them. But what I love is just the construction of them and the caning and the scale of them. now you see them everywhere, but when I bought them, they weren't as prolific as they are today. But these are original ones. They came from Patrick Sagan, who's the top dealer in genre and Corbusier chairs of this period. And I just love that they give a little bit of a kind of rustic. I love caning, so I think I wanted to bring the caning into this room with everything else to kind of go against the sleek lacquer that the rest of the apartment has. This apartment has just a lot of things I bought on travels, or things like I bought this little inlaid Indian chest. I bought that in London at one of the antique fairs. And then a mix of kind of art that I bought over time. These I bought at an outsider art sale. These are actually Nigerian railroad ties that are made into sculpture. It's kind of it's a poor man's Giacometti here. Behind me is another art wall, which is chalker blocked filled with art, as you can see. Again, a lot of works on paper and photography. It's what I love. The little piece right here is by Louis Baltz, and it's from his Industrial Park series, and it's a beautiful kind of minimalist photograph. And this is colorful gouache is by Phillida Barlow, who's also one of my favorite artists. She died recently. She was a British artist who taught at the Slade scale. She actually taught a lot of the great contemporary artists and was kind of like not that well known in her lifetime. Hauser and Wirth kind of tried to champion her art towards the end of her life. I think she was close to 80 or 90 when she died recently. But I love her art, I love her sculpture. And this kind of makes me feel like I'm moving farther up into the sky in this penthouse apartment. Books are really important to me, and one of the challenges of living in a small apartment is where do I put my books. Luckily I have an office with a lot of books in it, but I'm constantly reading and referencing books. So I designed the bookcase to kind of house the books, and the question was, where was I going to put the TV in this apartment? I thought about putting it on this wall at one point, but I didn't love walking into the apartment with the TV. Would have been kind of nice when you're cooking to have the TV there, but this was a better spot. So we designed the bookcases kind of around the TV, and we measured the books. It's always important to measure your books to make sure they're going to fit for the depth. So we did that. And I lacquered the bookcase, which kind of took another element of the apartment to kind of bring it together with the kitchen and the bathroom and the millwork in the bedroom. And then I added this beautiful custom Ann Morris library light above. And what's so nice about it is the scale. To get it this big, you had to do it custom. And it just gives a kind of balance between the Criddle steel windows and this side of the room. And also I've mixed in, these are New Guinea currency rings. They're carved out of abalone shells, and I love them because they're so sculptural, but I bought those too at an oceanic fair, I think one in New York, and then I collected them over time in Paris. And it was funny, I'm not a big skull person, but these little skull bookends, I was shopping with my old neighbor in my old apartment at 39 Fifth Avenue, this amazing Brazilian lady. And we bought those for her apartment at Mantiques. And she recently sold her apartment, very sadly, in New York and moved back to Sao Paulo full time. And she brought those over to my apartment and wanted me to have them. So they have nice memories as well. And then this is a Chinese bench that I had bought for a client. And sadly, when the client passed away, it came up for sale at Christie's, and I bought this, and I love this piece. This is a David Hicks box that I bought at the David Hicks store in Paris years ago. Green's my color, so I was particularly fond of this, and I love anything David Hicks inspired. And then these photophores, I love photophores, and you always see them in metal or classic Louis XVI photophores or Louis XIV photophores. What I love about these is I had a plaster artist kind of take the photophore base and make these in plaster, and then I had hand-blown hurricanes made for them. Now you can't find someone to do the hurricane glass because I tried to make more, but I just love the juxtaposition of the design. The mirror I had made by Wyeth, and the scale was really important. Again, I wanted to open up the apartment, and at night what's interesting is if you sit in certain areas, you get the city buildings and the lights of the city from the north behind. And I also love how it opens up onto the kitchen as well. Obviously I was artistic as a child. I was always, redecorating my bedroom. I was telling my mom what to change her dining room chairs to a ladder back chair from a cane chair. And so I was doing that stuff when I was younger. I think beauty is very important to me. And I think I have a strong aesthetic sensibility that's grown over time. But yes, I think it's something you're kind of born with, and then you kind of hone your skills over time. So this is my terrace. It's the whole reason I bought the apartment. I'm just having this expanse off the kitchen, the living room, and the bedroom makes such a difference. I tried to create kind of a green oasis where I was kind of secluded, but I could see the sky and the buildings beyond. And I have a fountain that runs that makes me think I'm in the countryside with a rolling river, even though it's a restoration hardware fountain. I brought lots of planters in from different areas. This is a company in Belgium that makes these big planters, and it's called Atelier Verkant. And I have a lot of boxwood because in the wintertime I also love the expanse from the apartment of having the green hedge and the boxwood, even when it's not summer. But summer is my favorite time, and fall out here, and Ollie likes it too. This is a little seating area where you can have cocktails, read a book. And the terrace was kind of narrow. It's not the deepest terrace, but it's not the narrowest terrace. So I really had to play with the scale of everything out here. And lighting was really important at night. I have 9 wall lights that light the terrace, and some of the plant materials lit from below very subtly as well. So it has a great feeling. I love coming out here. I love the awning because it gives you a kind of tented feel. I don't know if any of you remember when you were kids and you had a dresser across from your bed and you put one of your quilts from your bed up and created a little tent, and it gave you a feeling of comfort. That's what the awning does here. It was grandfathered, so I was only able to replace the awning footprint that was here. Otherwise, I would have run the awning the whole width of the terrace, so it covered all the areas. But it's just in this center area. Now we're under the awning, which is kind of the central part of the terrace. The focal point is the fountain, looking straight through the doors from the drawing room with the 2 boxwood on each side. And then it's divided into the other side, which is the seating area, and over here, which is your dining area, which is one of my favorite areas of the terrace. I have great dinner parties out here. Probably the best month is September, October. May's pretty good too. And summer dinner parties are fun too, but I really like the spring and autumn dinner parties out here. I can seat 10 people comfortably out here. I have 2 side chairs that pull out, and I come out here for my morning coffee. I come out here for glasses of wine or a margarita at night. But this is kind of the best area, and I think what I love too is I love all the Cream City brick. And I love how you have this little arch moment over here, which goes back, which I've made kind of Ollie's area off the kitchen. But if you look down into the arch, it's one of my favorite things. It kind of takes you back in time. Pavers, Pennsylvania bluestone that we have on a pedestal system. When I bought this apartment, it had these beautiful old terracotta tiles that were all over, but the co-op made me change it when I did the alteration agreement and the renovation. And I love the bluestone pavers. They've held up really well, and they kind of give a continuity to the whole terrace. As far as the plant material, I tried to keep it pretty structured and green. There's certain views I wanted to highlight and certain views I wanted to kind of make go away. So I have these great ivy walls in 3 places, 1 above the fountain, 2 at each end, and then I have a ilex hedge. I tried to create structure with green walls, and then shape with the boxwood balls. I have 4 boxwood lollipop topiaries, and I tried to unite everything with the pots, which are all this Belgian company that made these big square pots and all the round pots that you see up against the periphery of the apartment. I then tried to loosen it up a little bit because boxwood is a little stiff and more structured. So I wanted a little looseness, but I didn't want the terrace feeling overly grown. I wanted it very edited and structured. And so I added, again, the ivy in the pots. I added climbing hydrangea against the wall in the seating area. And then I tried to loosen it up. I love white geraniums in the summertime. So I've added white geraniums, I've added some white lantana. some allium, and this beautiful purple verbena. I think my color palette, in a garden is really greens, different shades of greens and chartreuses and light purples and whites is my favorite. And this is a autumn clematis, which will flower in September. And I've been trying to get it to cover the whole bench, but it's taken a little while. So gardens take a little time, even on a roof terrace. And the challenging thing about potted plants versus things in the ground is that potted plants are a whole different animal. So it's a lot more upkeep, the root structures are different. But I'm really happy the way the garden's now grown in. These were magnolia trees at one point, and at one point I had beautiful crepe myrtles here, and none of them did well. And so I put these dwarf crabapple trees in a couple years ago, and they seem to be thriving. I put one in each corner. And again, these are in the same pots as everything else. This Belgian company that makes beautiful pots right outside of Brussels. I love the fact that the color palette is kind of united throughout the interior and the exterior space of the apartment. Obviously, I have this green hedge that you look at, but then there's the striking black and white awning and the black iron on the cradle doors, the black of the custom-made Urban Electric light fixtures, the black garden stool here, which is a vintage garden stool, and all the gray pots. I think having that kind of color palette, it unites the space and makes it more expansive. I love sitting in the living room and just looking out to the terrace with the fountain running and seeing the black and white stripe, which totally plays in harmony with everything I've done inside the apartment. Rain is a tricky thing in New York. I love rain, and I love rainy nights. It can be very stressful when you're planning a big dinner party out on the terrace, just because I don't have a dining room inside my apartment. So where do you seat the people? But I think like anything in life, you have to improvise. And I had 12 people for, I think 10 people for dinner. Poured rain, stopped. We cleaned up the whole terrace. We reset the table, poured rain again. Luckily I had help that night, a lot of help. But it ended up pouring. I just rained the whole night for the dinner, and we all sat on the sofa with our food in our laps, and we had the best evening. So I think like anything, you have to improvise, but definitely having a dinner party and hoping that you've been a good boy and the gods are cooperating that night is always a very good thing. Now I'm going to take you into my kitchen. I mean, travel still inspires me, although I don't like to travel as much as I used to, but travel still really inspires me. I traveled a lot in my youth. Curiosity inspires me, so I love the art world. I love learning about art. I love artists. Nature inspires me. I find all those things very inspiring, and I think sometimes you need them to feed your creative juices and to kind of make you rethink things in interior design. I think also fashion is interesting. I'm not a big fashionista, but I watch fashion, and I think watching fashion also inspires you with interior design. This is my kitchen, and what I love about this, after living in an Emery Roth building where I had a big entrance foyer, separate kitchen, I love the openness of living here, and I love how it's open to the living room. And again, because it's open, I have to keep things very neat and tidy, and I had to think about the surfaces and what you were going to look at and what you weren't, and it actually works really well. I carried the same honed Carrara marble both in the bathroom and the kitchen, and I brought it up to the backsplash because I wanted to unite it, and I love the way it comes down on the side here as well. And then I high gloss lacquered all the cabinetry with a vendor that we use that does beautiful lacquer work. And what I love about that for this apartment is the reflective quality, because again, it's another element that kind of makes the apartment bigger, because it reflects the light. And sometimes you can see, like even here, you get the black and white awning reflected in my kitchen cabinet, which again, I love. Kitchens aren't good unless they're utilitarian as well as beautiful. So while I'm edited here, this is a great kitchen. I often have dinner parties where I have chefs cook here, and it works perfectly. They also have to be a little neat because the guests can see it all, but it seems to work, and people seem to have a good time. In a small kitchen, I have everything I need. I have a big, deep sink. I have a little niche here. I always love niches in kitchens. Like I love where you can display beautiful, these are beautiful green David Hicks glasses, again, that I bought at the David Hicks store in Paris when I bought my box. This is the white STAVA, I always mispronounce it, but I have it all over. I've had this porcelain, God, before they even carried it in the United States, I went to the store on the right bank, right near the Louvre in Paris. It's a beautiful little French shop that makes all this dinnerware. They made these pineapples. They made that mug over there. And there's also these plates that I love to kind of mix with it, which John Darien did as a collaboration with them. Like I said, a kitchen is not a good kitchen unless it functions well. I've got my dishwasher right here. I've got my Sub-Zero refrigerator with my flowers that I'm going to put on the table for you in a little while so they don't get wilted. And I even have a washer and dryer, which is kind of amazing in New York City. So again, this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, is really planning how you want to live in a small space. I knew that the washer and dryer was important to me to have, and I was able to get permission from the building to do it. And it makes a big difference. Even the drawers, we had fitted out, which I like that all my cutlery can fit. I like that things are organized. And because I entertain a lot and I don't like clutter in this small apartment, I have a lot of upper storage. Way up top, you can see my collection of Chinese export frogs, which I seldom get down from there, and my Christopher Spitz-Miller jardinières and all kinds of Persian vases, and there are my elephants with their trunk up. And I think there's another elephant, more vases. Oh, and another elephant with its trunk up, and more vases and things that I use for entertaining. Also, more storage. These are my antique paper mache wine coolers from Sotheby's. Little silver beakers, more porcelain. This is my friend Martin Lawrence Bullard gave me this from his design dinnerware. I don't really use his coffee mugs, but don't tell him. I prefer my big white coffee mugs. I'd been collecting or buying things for a lot of years, so I had stuff in storage, I had things. So for me, it was kind of editing and curating the things I bought. Obviously, there's not a lot of wall space in this apartment, and so I had to be very careful about what art. I have a lot of art in storage, so I couldn't hang it all. So I think it was kind of curating things that I had bought over time, editing down, and really finding a palette that kind of meshed the inside and the outside and kind of brought the whole apartment together. Because when you're dealing with a small space, you don't want things to be jarring. You want it to be continuous and kind of harmonious. And I think that was the biggest design challenge in this apartment. This is a smaller one-bedroom apartment, so I wanted it to feel the expanse. It has high ceilings and this beautiful light and beautiful windows. So I kind of took off the color palette of the rest of the apartment and kept this room a little more minimalist and black and white with less color. The walls are a soft gray, and all the cabinetry is done in a high gloss, beautiful lacquer, which again gives a reflective quality, and it ties your eye into the lacquer cabinetry in the kitchen. Just to give you a continuity. This was all bespoke. We had it made. Again, thought a great deal about storage, shoes, shirts. This is drawers in here. So you can open it up, and I have a whole nother set of drawers. Also needed a chest of drawers for additional storage. This is an old Italian chest that I bought years ago at an auction in Chicago. Kind of neoclassical, probably very simple, probably from north of Italy, which I love. This is a 1960s mirror that I bought from C.J. Peters. And then these are Nancy Loren's little mirrors that came from Liz O'Brien. So I kind of made this like a kind of my idea of my wall of mirrors. at Versailles. This is one of my favorite pieces. It's an artist called Ray Johnson. He's not as well known, but he's very well known about within the artist community. A lot of artists' collections have his work. And Frances Beatty had a beautiful show at her gallery, and I bought this piece. It's a portrait of Emily Dickinson, which I also love since I was an English major. And I just love the singularity of it on this wall. It's very strong, so it can carry the wall. With these beautiful mirrors, which are also kind of works of art in themselves by Nancy Lorenz. And I think this is by Sejan and something. They made these mirrors in the 60s. Again, I have too many books, and I've slowly started to just pile them up on the ground, which some people might say is clutter, but for me, it works. These are Robert Keim wall lights. I did a custom lampshade on them with a custom trim. Again, what I've tried to do in the apartment, you have these beautiful black iron criddle windows, or steel. And what I love is how I'm looking at the back of a sofa, but all the colors and the stripes and the green wall kind of mimic what's happening in the interior of the apartment. This is a beautiful CNC Milano bedspread. This is a vintage Suzanne pillow. And then this is a great photograph of Lilies of the Valley. It's by Anessa Banu. They're famous photographers, not really known for their flower portraits, but they had a show at Gagosian. And it just had a lot of meaning for me because growing up in Wisconsin, we had a screen porch, and Wisconsin winters were long and cold and tons of snow. And every spring, this field of lilies of the valley would come up on the side of our screen porch. And so hence this piece of art, which is actually a photograph, which I love. What I think is special about this apartment is I have this window here where I get beautiful morning east light. And it mimics to this window in the kitchen where I get beautiful west light at the end of the day. And this axis point is so nice, but I also like to be able to close it off. So I have a door, pocket door here. And pocket doors are great when you're tight on space if you have the room to fit them in, because doors would have kind of encumbered here. I also lacquered this little alcove here, which also, again, brings the light, gives you a feeling of space and height right here. And then if you come through here to the closet and the bathroom, I also have French pocket doors that go here, so I can close these off. This is my bathroom again. Materiality was a big thing. I carried the same marble that's in the kitchen in here, and I lacquered the front of the vanity. Here I used a little Corian, but I kept it really simple. I just wanted a very simple bathroom. Again, you have the ceiling. I love that you have the window in the shower, and that's my bathroom. We're about to go into the magical Gramercy Park with our key, and we're waiting for the elevator. And this is my elevator lobby in my 1920s Emery Roth building. Little Syrian chest. The floor is terrazzo, it's original. Actually, it's one of the few original things on this floor, which is nice with the mahogany elevator door. And it was pea green. I just painted it a little pharaoh ball to match the terrazzo. And just took that stuff out of storage. This chest was in storage. These photophores were in storage. This is a little Renica Dijkstra photograph that I bought from Marion Goodman Gallery years ago. And I had some green plants in here, but it doesn't do well. So now we just have some orchids. Yeah, it's funny, when I renovated the apartment, I wasn't able to do anything with the elevator lobby. So recently I've been able to just kind of spruce it up with some objects and pieces from storage. And it makes me a lot happier when I walk into my apartment and I arrive on the 18th floor. This is the big key to the private Gramercy Park, and you have to live on the park to be able to get a key. Our building has one on this beautiful key. What would you call that? A key block? And I'm going to take you into the park right now. Come with me. So we are in Gramercy Park. It's a beautiful little alcove in the middle of the city. It's just, I don't know, I always feel like I'm transported into another world when I come to this neighborhood. I get off the bustling streets of New York and I take a left on 21st Street and I walk around the park. It has a kind of magical, and as if time kind of has stood still for a moment. I love these little like side alleys on each side of the park with the park benches. It's just kind of a great moment to kind of sit and listen to the birds. Watch the light come through the leaves of these trees. The Gramercy Park Hotel was here, which was amazing, right to the right. It had Whealon, which was a great Italian restaurant in it, and there was always a fire in the wintertime, fun bar. But it closed, unfortunately, right before COVID, and now a new hotel is opening. The TWA Hotel is supposed to be opening a new hotel there, but it doesn't look like much work is going on there right now. Well, this is the central access of the park. You're coming from the west side, from Gramercy Park West, where we entered. And this kind of brings you to the central access, which runs into Lexington on one side and Irving. So why don't you come with me and we'll walk to the center of Gramercy Park. There's your ode to Samuel Ruggles, who founder of Gramercy Park, founded it in 1831. So this gravel path kind of takes you to the central access of Gramercy Park. What I love is this center area. You look uptown towards Lexington Avenue and you have the Chrysler building sitting there right past your view, and it's lit up at night. And if you turn looking south on the central access, you have Irving Place. I think just the peacefulness and the quietness of just being, it's just the green and the peacefulness, and I feel like it's been preserved really well by Arlene Harrison, and she really works on keeping the neighborhood, she's keeping the park beautiful, keeping the neighborhood safe. I know it's a privilege to have a private park in New York, so it's controversial, but it's totally funded by the Gramercy Park Association and the neighbors that run there. There's no city money for the park. It's just a very, very special place. Home to me is really, there's something about coming into this apartment where I feel like I'm in a bit of a cocoon. I love the size of it. I love the simplicity of it. And I just love, I could come up here for a weekend. I'm part introvert, part extrovert. And I could come up here for a weekend. I could say that Ollie's ill and cancel my social plans, which is really a bad thing to do, and just read books and watch documentaries, sit on the terrace, hang out here all weekend, and be totally, utterly happy.
Hi, Homeworthy. My name is Molly Ford. Welcome to my Brooklyn townhouse. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Molly Ford. I'm a small business owner and floral designer, and we are in my townhome in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. My husband and I moved to New York about 6 years ago, and we had absolutely no money, but we were super excited to be in New York. And we ended up moving to Bushwick, and we had a small railroad-style apartment living next to a concrete factory, and there was graffiti just everywhere. And it was a perfect home for the first New York apartment. And then, like most New Yorkers, we had a wish list. We wanted washer, dryer, dishwasher, a backyard would be ideal. So we just had this wish list on Zillow, and we would refresh it every once in a while, and then we ended up finding this apartment. And when we saw it, we just immediately knew that this was something that could be such a sweet space for us. So it's a rental, it's a 2-story apartment with a backyard. Having your own space, private space, an outdoor nature location is so special because I feel like I can have my coffees outside and read my book and host friends, and it just feels like a luxury in New York when it's something that I didn't even know I could have. And so this home feels so special. We've hosted so many parties, so many friends have stayed here with us, and it just feels like such a treat to be able to have this as our home. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of my home. I'm going to show you really special pieces that have made our home feel very special and personal. I'm also going to take you into my garden, where we're going to cut a few of very fresh blooms and make an arrangement that feels very natural. It's something that I would do if I'm having friends over for dinner. I would go in the backyard and just cut some flowers or greenery or branches. And we're gonna do that today. I'm gonna teach you a few simple tricks that if you're going on a walk and you secretly pick some things, how you can bring it into your New York apartment and make it feel special. So welcome to the second floor. This is my living room. It is one of the things that took my breath away whenever I looked at this apartment, especially because of the ceilings and the walls. They're all original, which feels really special. It's that pre-war New York townhouse, crown molding that feels so desirable. And yeah, we filled it with a lot of antiques and a lot of furniture that feels special to have these little moments. Some really special pieces to me. This painting is from the Cotswolds. I went to the Cotswolds with a few of my girlfriends for my 30th birthday, and we had just finished touring the Highgrove Gardens, and it was a very beautiful experience. And it's in this town that has a ton of antiques, and we went to all these stores and I saw this painting and I fell absolutely in love, especially because of the frame. There's little roses, and then the actual painting is just so beautiful. So we paired it with another hand-painted photo, which we just got from a market in Brooklyn. This pillow is really fun. We got it in Maine. I wasn't sure if I was gonna get it or not because I kind of thought it was gonna be too large, but it's perfect with this 6-penny chair that's just massive. 3 people can sit on it, which is so fun. This stool is also really lovely for me. I love the drama of how tall it is. And also I love this vase on top. I got this at the Dumbo flea market, and then I got this from an online Instagram antique dealer. Just little moments. We love these little knickknacks, putting them throughout the space. This is an antique. I forget the name of who designed it, but it's one of the original ones that there's now a lot of copies of, but it was really fun to have that. We had it in our last apartment, and we knew that we wanted a bit of chrome with the wood, which in my mind was a little bit odd, but it actually works really well, which is fun. We also have these pocket shutters that don't open, and I'm determined that I'm gonna open them one day. But for now, they don't. They're painted over. I'm a little bit nervous on what's inside, but I do love when you walk past homes in New York, they have those pocket shutters that close. And I just think it's a beautiful architect moment where we don't see that a lot anymore. And now I want them in my home. And maybe I can get it one day. This table is really fun because we got it at the Chelsea flea market in the city. And we went there because one of my girlfriends, she was looking for a smaller version of this. This is what we had. And my husband and I, we saw this really long version and we were like, the drama of the size feels really fun. There was one piece that had like this little like headrest, and they said that it like could be a bed. And so we were like, that feels like a fun thing to add to our space. So we bought the big one and sold the small one to our girlfriend. And it's super heavy, really fun. I love these like indentions. I don't know if they're for anything, but I love it. It's such a cool piece. And then these rugs, they're really fun too, because we bought just one from Etsy from Morocco. And it was during COVID and it was taking a long time. It got stuck in customs, and the Etsy shop was really kind and they sent us another one. And then both of them came in. And so then we had two really massive blue rugs, and one was just like in storage for a long time because we didn't have enough room in our space. And then when we saw this room, we thought we could just like put the rugs together and make this like really long moment. And so then that's what we did. And it adds so much color, and blue is like, I feel very drawn to blue with interior design. I don't know why, but it's very calming to me. And so I've enjoyed having it in the space. Another piece that I love is a stool. It is from Facebook Marketplace. Hudson found them. It's a set of two, and they have these like little bells on them. And they're really fun. It's just a weird little stool, but I love it. This is the painting that we originally got from Amarel. She's a lovely Brooklyn artist. She used to be our barista at our old coffee shop. And we just fell in love with like the colors and the texture and all the shapes. And so this is our first piece that we've ever purchased that was like an investment piece. And I feel like it balances a lot of the colors with the wood and all of our little antique tchotchkes. This is another cool lamp that we got from, again, Good Behavior. I'm obsessed with it. This is like a suede center, and then this pleated shade, more hydrangeas, and smoke bush now. All these little moments, they feel really special. This is a cool matchbook, like holder. So you could take out your matches and then hopefully light them in here. Oh, that was quite large, more than I expected it to be. But yeah, we just got it engraved with Ford. I think it's really fun, a funky little piece. More so display than obviously use, but it definitely works. We got the Samsung TV. It's the same as the frames, except it has the legs to it. It's so heavy, it's like 80 pounds. So every time we go to move it, there has to be two people. We got this because, well, one, it was on sale. It was cheaper than the frame TV. And a lot of the walls in our old apartment, especially, they weren't like super sturdy. And so we just felt nervous about putting a TV on the wall. So we decided to get one that was like on the ground. And I love it. It's so big and such a statement. We can put it like in the middle and it feels like an art piece, or we can put it against a wall. And it's a place where like people can come in and watch like music videos and just like hang out, or we can like have movie nights. And it feels, all of our pieces are so large. And I think the balance of the space with like these larger pieces, we're not uncomfortable with something like feeling like it's so large, because I think that it balances itself out, especially with the high ceilings and everything. The first thing that drew me to this home was the crown molding and the beautiful ceilings. I feel like it has so much light and it allows so much space. My husband and I love antiques, so the first thing was like pulling in the things that we already have, mixing in old with new. We love like grand rugs and color and fabric and patterns. And so our design method was basically just like pull in everything that we like and see if it works. And the space is so beautiful that I think anything could work, but it is so special to have those like little moments of like when we were traveling, we had this picture frame, or we have a beautiful like pottery, like ceramicist friend, and they have their art in our space. And it just feels really special to pull in so many meaningful things to make this home feel special and make it feel like it's something that we can like pull people in and feel excited about. Oh, hi, Homeworthy. I bet you didn't know that I had pocket doors. They're so much fun. I this is my first time having them in my home, and we shut these off every night and like make this room very dark and cozy. We have 2 sound machines that we turn on at night, but it feels fun to have these doors where I can just like close off from the living room. This becomes a bedroom, and then during the daytime, it's like one open space. So this is our bedroom. It is really lovely. One of the most important things or special things to me is the ceiling. There are moments that even have like little flowers on the ceiling. And for me as a florist, obviously I love that stuff. And it just feels really romantic and special. And all of the door frames, all of the like even doors, there's just so much texture with it. I could stare at it literally all day long. There's a lot of pieces in this room that feel really special to me. One is this room divider, also Facebook Marketplace. We got it from this like Danish man, and he had it for a really long time. He brought it over and lived in New York with it for a really long time. And we got it because of the color, the stripes, the wood. It like can fold up, but it makes this space where it's like you're walking into our bedroom, but you're also like a little bit sectioned off from our bed, but also still open. And it's just such a beautiful piece. I'm actually obsessed with it. Another beautiful piece in this room is this cabinet. We also got it from Good Behavior. It stores all of our like knitwear inside of it, and then it has this cute little shelf for all of our like perfumes and colognes, more hydrangeas, more like grasses. I love having these like organic, natural pieces in the space without having just like flowers everywhere. Like this is less upkeep than like a bouquet of flowers in my home. So I enjoy that since it's also my job to like have the flowers. But I love this piece. It's like so beautiful with all of its little shutters and the texture of it. This is my desk. She is a really fun piece because it's like an old vanity desk. You can have these like pockets that pop out, and you're supposed to have like a very specific skirt with it where it like slides onto this and you can like fold it around. I don't have that skirt, so I just have this like fabric going around it, but it's so like dainty and cute and special, and I really love sitting there. This is also a beautiful painting. This is the one that I was talking about earlier, where it's like all green and brown and red with this one little red pop. I think it's so special. And so then I paired it with this red lamp, which is attached to the wall, that we got from Etsy. And it's just such a fun little moment for me to like wake up and see this red and like feel like inspired by all the colors. I think it's so beautiful. This lamp is really fun. Our friends were leaving New York and they had it in their apartment, and they wanted to continue to have it like live within the friend group. And so they gave it to us, and it's like such a fun lamp because you can move all the pieces and like spread out the light, but then also like make it really tight. And it's fun because at night it lights up the ceiling and like it shows all of the beautiful texture on the ceiling, which I really enjoy. And now she's dancing. The back of the bed are like headboard, also antique from Good Behavior again. It's like a beautiful piece, and it's just this solid wood that we wanted to like bounce off of all of the other wood in the space. So one of my sister-in-laws, she painted the painting in the kitchen. And then this is my youngest sister-in-law. She made this quilt for Hudson for Christmas. And I think she made it in the matter of like a week, which kind of blows my mind because I don't sew. But she's very creative, and I will keep it for the rest of my life. It's very special. This side table is a stool that we got from the same online Instagram antique dealer as in the living room, this one and the one on my bedside. They're so fun. We knew we wanted bedside tables, but we didn't know what we wanted. And we're not people that like want things to match, as you can tell. And so we were like, let's do stools. And so this was one of the stools. I love it. It's like a perfect little piece for us to put our books and our water, and if we have coffee in the morning in bed, we can just put it right there. It's great. Because this is a townhouse and now there's multiple units in the space, a few of the doors used to lead into rooms that they now don't lead into. Like behind our bed, there are those massive doors, and originally they would be leading into this room. They don't anymore, and I don't know why, because it would be very cool. But this is our bathroom, and it's very dramatic because of this bathtub. And when we first like walked up the stairs and saw the bathroom, and then I saw the living room and the walls, I was like, I don't know if I can live without this apartment. I will take a bath and watch like our backyard, and there's birds that come. You can see our cherry tree in the back through the window. You can see the weeping willow swaying. It's a really peaceful place, and I feel very thankful for it. And it is a bathroom that I didn't know I could have in New York, but here we are. So the bathroom's very white, and I wanted something that had a little bit more color and texture. And so there's this basket that we decided to put on the wall, and it's just, I don't know where it's from or what it was made for, but for us, it's a piece of art that just hangs up on the wall. That creates a little bit more texture when I'm looking in the mirror. Instead of just a white wall, I see, color. I feel very inspired by color, texture, and shape. I think that with floral design, it's very special to have space in your arrangements. I don't like it when it's like all just super tight together. I love white space and movement. I love grasses that will flow in the wind. I love dainty little flowers and then big like peonies or an orchid. And I think having that variety of like shape size from like something super small to something really large or something really tall and like a shorter arrangement, just having that depth feels really special and important to me. Also playing with color feels really important. And I bring that into my home as well. There's so many pieces in my apartment that are very like old world, where it's like really old wood. It's a little bit funky. If you push down on one side, the table might break. Like, it's just, I love things that aren't incredibly precious, but things that are old, that feel important, that have a story to them. So this is our entryway. We want this to be a space where you can take off your shoes, take off your jacket, but also feel comfortable. One of my favorite pieces in this entryway is this sweet little stool. The size is perfect, especially for opening the door and someone being able to sit and enjoy themselves. This is my husband's music studio. It's a very special place where he can make all of his music. Something that was super important for us was the sound in this room, and also it's our guest bedroom. So we pull out this couch and people sleep in here. And so we wanted it to be very cozy and warm and feel very like approachable. So the coolest project that I think we've done in this space is covering all the walls with this like velvet brown fabric. And we would buy all these panels. They're literally just like curtains, but we would buy the panels, put them up and be like, we need more. So we bought, I don't even know how many panels of curtains to cover this, but I love how it goes over the corners and it just flows throughout the whole room. We have a beautiful Picasso print over his piano. This piano is like one that they do for travel. It's super old school. This like folds up into like a trunk, so it's like transportation. I'm probably butchering it because I'm not a musician, but this room is like really special for me because he gets to create so much in here and it feels like a beautiful space and a guest bedroom, so come on over. So our old home was a railroad style apartment, and our dining room was also the music studio, and it just felt like there wasn't enough space. It was truly just a desk with like a few pieces of like instruments. And when we found this apartment, we knew that this room was going to be a music studio. It just felt kind of right. It felt like if we could have our old IKEA couch and have that into like a fold-out bed for our guests and also be able to have a space where Hudson can create, that felt really special and important. And so the floor in this room feels lovely, so we wanted to like keep it exposed a little bit. This room is very different than the other rooms because of the fabric. the other spaces, we fill the walls with like art or leave it white and allow the furniture to breathe. But this room feels just so different and warm and lovely when you walk in. It's like a landing place for a lot of people, especially when we have a party, because it's like right by the entry. And sometimes I'll come in here and people are just like hanging out on the couch when the whole party's going on, like in the backyard or in the kitchen. So it just feels safe and warm in here. And our whole design concept was to like make it approachable and like a really lovely place where he can like be in his own space and just create and feel comfortable. A really fun piece in the apartment is this bookshelf. Hudson found it from Facebook Marketplace. And it's, if I open this, it's all of his stuff coming out, but it's basically like an old secretary desk. You can like type over here. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's very like narrow, which I thought was perfect for the space. He needed something to just be able to store stuff, put all of the miscellaneous like instruments and sound stuff up there. It's fun. Something that's really fun about this lamp shade, it's from a company called Tulip. And basically their whole concept is taking like the boob lights that everyone has in their apartments that aren't super beautiful, and it's a really easy installation. And it's just like this beautiful light that you just pop over. So that was fun to incorporate as well. Instead of changing the whole light fixture, just put a little lampshade over it. That's all for this room. Let's go into the kitchen and dining room. So this is the kitchen. It kind of blew my mind because of its size and the amount of storage that we have. Unfortunately, I am not a great cook or baker, but I'm trying. It's a goal for this year. But something that's really important about this space is, again, the ability to host. When we have parties, we fill this middle island with food and drinks, and people normally just gather around this island. And it's just a fun space to like be able to have people over and have enough room to like have people in and out of the space and kitchen. So a luxury in this apartment is having a washer and dryer. Don't look at my dirty clothes. We love fabric. Again, this did have like a door on it, and we took it off and put on more fabric just to have texture and make it really easy. And there's not like a door coming out at you. It's just sliding this way. So yeah, I feel very thankful for that, to have it in our kitchen and be able to wash our clothes and not send them off to the laundry. Other really beautiful pieces in the space. We have this bowl that I just got from Mexico City, and everything in Mexico City was so beautiful, and all the ceramics really stood out to me. And I love this bowl. Fishes, how cute. We also have like a lot of just antique little moments that Hudson has found from Etsy or Facebook Marketplace or different markets. And again, like old wood feels really special to us. And then also ceramics feel really special. So I believe we got this in Nashville, I think. Every time we go on a trip, we love to bring back like little knickknacks and tchotchkes. It just feels like a space where if you need something, you can have it here. So we're trying to like take advantage of every space and countertop and really enjoy it. Whenever we have parties or have people over, we have a Polaroid camera, and we like our friends to just like take photos and enjoy it. And so what I need to do is get one of those books. But for now, they're just sitting in a bowl. And it's really fun to like come here and look through these pictures and remember the moments that we've had in this space, because again, it's really important to have like people here and to enjoy it and to celebrate life in this apartment. These are all the photos of that. Like I said before, color and texture is really important to me, especially whenever we are hosting or you're thinking about like a table and a lot of people sitting at the table with really colorful food or beverages. And so we have all of these like cups and plates and bowls and like serving bowls that just feel really fun to like put on the table. And you can put like herbs in this and then lemon slices, and then you have it by like a glass of orange wine, and it just feels a little bit more exciting for me, at least, having all of these like colors and textures, especially when I'm hosting or having a dinner. And then I get to close it and no one gets to see it until I open it up again. Something that's really fun about this apartment is the entryway between the kitchen and the dining room. This space is a space that like holds so many of our friends. We'll have game nights on the table, and then it's like, oh, we get to lounge on the couch as well. We spent so much time trying to find this couch because it had to be the perfect size because we wanted both. We wanted a couch and a table. And this couch we found, it's vintage, it's horse and hog hair, which is super interesting to me. We've spilt a lot of wine on it, unfortunately, but we've just flipped all the covers. And it's like precious, but it's also approachable, which feels important for a space where a lot of people are coming in and out. This table is also vintage. A lot of our vintage pieces are from a Brooklyn antique company called Good Behavior. We got the table from them. We have this like storage unit from them, this lamp from them. They have a lot of really good pieces that we are like totally drawn to. And my favorite thing about this storage unit is like the glass. It's all curved. I think it's really beautiful and lovely, and it stores all the things that I can host with. I have these beautiful swans. They're like napkin weights. And my girlfriend got them for me for my 30th birthday. And I think that they are just actually perfect. I love them so much. And then all of our like silver and our ceramics. It's just a beautiful space to have a little storage. This gallery wall was something that my girlfriend, she works for an interior design company, and she was like, let's do a gallery wall. Because we had all of these pieces that we didn't really know what to do with. And so many of these pieces on this wall are very important to Hudson and I. These pictures are literally just like big printouts from when we were in Tulsa. This is like an old Chinese restaurant that we used to go to. This print, it is something that's been in every single home that we've had, from Tulsa to Bushwick to Bed-Stuy. And it's not like the craziest print in the world. I didn't even know who did it, but it does feel, when you have those moments where it's like home is like these pieces, I feel like that's been like part of our home journey. And then we also bought this like print. It actually is a painting. We bought it from Union Square, like one of those artists in the Union Square market, our first year in New York. So it's about 6 years old, and we didn't know what to do with it for the longest time, and we just decided to get it framed. And it's fun because it's like from our first year in New York, and it's like a fun piece to just have as like a statement moment. But yeah, this wall is like precious. It has so many like pieces of art. This is a super old dog. I think it's like, I don't even know the year, I think 1930s or something. Like, it's so beautiful. And he's just like this funky little print sketched out. But yeah, I love this wall. So much art. This is my sweet, sweet, sweet Pomeranian, Milo. He is precious. And we got him from a farm in Oklahoma, got him off of Craigslist. And I think I will never have another dog outside of Pomeranians. They are sassy and perfect, and I love him. Hudson and I actually met in Syracuse, New York. I was visiting a friend's family, and he was doing a music tour. And we met at Applebee's after one of his shows. And little did I know that he would be my husband a few years later, but we went back to school and had a few classes together and started working in the same department and slowly fell in love. And then we dated for 2 years and then got married pretty young. We've been married for 8 years now, and it's been such a sweet journey for us to like kind of grow up together. It feels like when you meet someone really young and then you build a life together, you get to learn so much about who that person is and who they're growing into being. And I feel very thankful for him. So throughout our space, you will find all of these like dried hydrangeas. I love them so much because of like the shape, and also how the stems are so long, and you can kind of, especially when they're dry, you can manipulate it any way. So this you could literally just put up top here and have it like coming out more of a moment like that, or coming out this side. These are called cone hydrangeas. They are available in the late summer, and they're the ones that dry really well. The ones that you'll find at a grocery store won't dry like this. So you have to find the cone hydrangeas, but they are so lovely and an easy little touch to a space that if you want like something that has texture and color, They're really special. There's also some that are other colors, like these. They're like pink versus the brown. They're so fun. I love them. They're all over my home. So this table is really lovely and beautiful. It is like a fold-out leaf table. I don't know where it's from or how old it is, but I do know it's quite old, and it's been such a fun place. Mini meals, mini games, lots of moments have been had at this table, which is really fun. I think one of the best things about hosting is knowing who's going to be in your space, knowing how they feel and what they feel like excited about. Hosting so much is creating an environment for people, so you want to be relaxed and comfortable and excited to have people in your environment. When you welcome people into your home, you're welcoming them into your world, and so you do have control over that to a degree. And so making sure that they have enough food, making sure they have enough to drink, making sure that there's like something that's entertaining or conversation pieces that feel important where they can feel seen or walk away and feel excited to come back. But it's creating that environment that is so special and important, and it requires thought beforehand, but also it makes the party or the dinner so much more important whenever you've prepared and created that environment for people. My childhood was really magical. I grew up in Arkansas with parents who were artists, but also owned a 12-step program where they helped people through nature and through art. And my childhood was just surrounded by nature. We also didn't have a lot of money growing up, and so it felt important that like the resources of earth were beneficial to us. All of the furniture in my house was like handmade by my mom. All of our walls were murals. My childhood home literally had like the ceilings and the floors painted as like a jungle. And so growing up, I just felt very connected to nature. When I was in college, I decided that I wanted to study nonprofit management, and I kind of thought that's where my life was going to take me. And I started working at nonprofits, but on the weekends, I was an intern for a floral company in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I would work 14-hour days, and I would have more energy from those jobs than I would from my 9-to-5. And it just felt really special to be able to create things for people. And so I thought I would just do that on the side for a really long time. Moving to New York, I also thought that that was going to be the case. I moved here for a job, a nonprofit job, and then I started freelancing on the side, and then the pandemic happened. And we were able to kind of rethink what I wanted to do with my life. And I started getting orders, and people were interested in the company. And it just developed into this thing where now my husband and I run Flowers by Ford full time. He's also a musician, and we just have created this life that feels like something I couldn't have even dreamed of. And I feel so thankful for it, because now we can both like live in our art and do what we love and have a life that feels slow and also fulfilling and important. And it's been a journey of a lifetime, and I'm so thankful for it. New York is super interesting because there are so many people that want to throw so many parties. Coming from Arkansas and Oklahoma, I had an idea of like the type of celebrations that New York offers, but being here in the industry where you offer services for parties, it's really expanded my world. And there was like one account that really changed my life. My friend worked for a co-working space, and they needed weekly flowers. And it was enough money where I was able to quit my job. And so it was just that moment where I was like, there's something to this, and I can make it work if I hustle really hard, find the right clients and the right gigs. And that's how it all evolved. And then our online portfolio really started to take off, and now I'm with a management company that helps with branded campaigns and social media and content, and it's just continuing to follow what feels right and say yes to open doors, and also realize that like there's enough room for so many people. There's so many florists in New York, and I'm so thankful that I've built a community out of the floral industry, but also like it's supported me and my family, and it supports so many other people. And also being able to hire freelancers and offer jobs, like it's such a fun journey. And it feels like it's just from those like little small yeses. So we're gonna go into my garden, and I'm going to clip just a few pieces of greenery, and I have a lilac bush. I'm gonna add some lilac. We're gonna use a vase that's in my apartment, and we're just gonna build an arrangement that will be fun to like keep in the center of my living room so that when friends come over later, there'll be a beautiful like arrangement that they can just enjoy. So this is my like little haven. We have incredible direct light, which feels like a gift. This is like the garden area, our weeping willow and our cherry tree. This is where we have all of our parties, the long table, and this is where I have my morning coffee as much as I possibly can. We're just gonna pick a few random things to put together, and you can do this literally any point, anytime. The base is always like greenery. I think that that's an important starting point. And if you can, I would do things that have different heights so that when you're thinking about where you're putting this in the vase, like this is gonna go tall, this is gonna go low. So I'm gonna get a few other pieces that are a little low. I think some grass could be fun. Get in here. Yeah, that's feeling good. Maybe a few more greenery. Especially, I love coming out here whenever I can pick pieces that I know will continue to grow. So I'm like taking away from my garden right now, but it's only the beginning of spring. All of this is gonna come back so quickly. And so it feels nice that I can like trim things back and know that it's going to continue to grow and be even larger. Let's maybe get a few leaves as well. You know, shades of different colors make a huge difference. So when you're in the garden, even like with this in my hand, there are so many different shades of green. You have this like really vibrant lime green, and then you have these like darker shades. And then you have some greenery that has like this really light, almost like white. And I love balancing and like mixing all of those in, and then always throwing in these like darker shades of like burgundy or brown. I do that a lot with my arrangements. I'll have like a very pastel shade of like pink and yellow and orange, and then I'll do like one chocolate Cosmo that's like this burgundy pop. I think the contrast of that is just so fun. One gardening tip I would say, obviously water it as much as you possibly can, pull all the weeds, but also just have fun. I have messed up and killed so many plants. And I've also planted some of these like grasses 2-3 years ago, and they're still coming back. And so I think just like trusting nature and knowing that the plants will grow. And if they don't, it's okay. You'll learn and you'll figure out something else. But planting perennials has saved my life because I'm not spending hundreds of dollars every spring to replant a whole garden. All of this is growing back from like 2 years ago, which is really fun. I just purchased this lilac bush, and this part of my garden, a lot of stuff doesn't grow, and I don't know why. Also, I should be like pulling all these weeds, and I'll be doing that later today. But this part of my garden, a lot of stuff doesn't grow, and so I was like, I'm just going to plant things in pots and see if that changes it. I think there's something in the soil back here that just isn't working. It also gets more shade than the rest of the garden. So I think that that's also something that happens. But this lilac bush, I'm obsessed with her. And so we're gonna use a few of that. She's just now starting to bloom, which is really fun. And another favorite piece about this garden, which I'm not even responsible for, is this rose bush. It's from my neighbor. Their garden, they don't like keep up with it as much as they used to, but I know that someone loved it really well at one point because there's all these roses that are like falling over. And I think it's really special. They'll bloom and they'll be like this pop of red, similar to the painting in my bedroom. It feels like a little moment for me. This back table, to be honest, I don't know what it is. It was here when we moved in. I'm assuming it was some type of like outdoor cooking area because of this like concrete base, and it has this like pit back here and a lot of metal. So I'm curious if like it was something for cooking or maybe it was just hosting at some point. what I use it for are my herbs. These are all like planted herbs, potted herbs, and like a rose bush. And then this will be like the back table where people come and get their drinks. So normally when we have parties, this is like the drink station. So it pulls people from the kitchen all the way out, which I found with hosting, if you break things up and you kind of lead people into spaces, it feels like there's more room to breathe and there's like more moments. So this is our drink station moment and my herb moment, which I think I'm gonna get a few of these green ferns for our arrangement. And this arrangement's gonna be super simple because again, I'm just getting it from my garden. If you're going to the market or you're going to the grocery store, you can get just like a few bundles of different varieties to make it feel like you're mixing textures and colors all together. A few tips is like cutting all of your stems at an angle so that whenever you put it in the water, they'll be able to drink a little bit more water. I'll show you when I'm building the arrangement, but you want all of the leaves to come off where it's gonna like hit the water line. But if you're just like cutting from outside in the nature, just get products that come at like, that just catch your eye. Like this is such a beautiful moment where it'll fall over the vase, and then these are like moments that will come really high up. And it can be all greenery or it can also be with flowers. It just depends on kind of what you have and what you want to pull into your space. All right, that feels good. Shall we go inside and build our arrangement? Let's do it. So once you have all of your cut greenery, flowers, whatever it is, your next step in building arrangement is going to be processing your flowers. So you have the stem and you see how we have all of these leaves on the stem. You're gonna wanna take those off, and it can be super simple, literally just like taking it off with your hand, because anything below the water line that has a leaf in it, it's going to create bacteria where your flowers are going to die faster. So you're just gonna take that off, and then you're gonna trim everything at an angle like this. If you have like a woody stem or like hardy stem like this, you can also cut it in half. So you're just splitting it to give this a moment to have a little bit more water. So you're just gonna do that with all of your greenery, and then you can start putting them in there, or you can put them to the side once it's processed if you want to just like have these available for you to build things. It kind of depends on what you wanna do. I'm probably gonna process it and then put it in the vase as I process my flowers. Whenever I'm building my arrangements, I really like the lip of the vase to be somewhat covered, but I don't want my arrangement to be super tight. So I'm going to cut my flowers to have a little bit longer of a stem where it can like come out, but it is resting on the lip of the vase so that it has this like moment where it's covering it, but it's still coming out. Normally, when you have a vase like this, you want to build an arrangement that's almost like double the size of the vase, because you want the spacing of everything to not feel so claustrophobic, but you also want it to feel grand if you have this much of like product, because you'll see that it'll quickly fill up, especially with all of our branches. And it's fun to just like start low and then go high. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna build my base. Then you get to add in all of the other fun little stuff. But the base is important. Anytime you're building an arrangement at home, it could be for a holiday, or it could be just for yourself or for a dinner party. The main thing is you just wanna have fun. And if you like something, put it in. And whenever you're building it, one thing that I really enjoy is like creating shapes. And so you can see like this is coming up a little bit higher and then it's slowly going down. And whenever I put the ferns in, they're gonna like trail and cascade out of the arrangement. So it feels like you're creating this like art piece and this shape that feels interesting versus just like a big ball of flowers. But again, if that's what you like, go for it. I just think that it's fun to have a little bit of shape and texture whenever you're building the arrangement. Then you have a piece like this, where if you're just putting it like standing up like this, it naturally is coming this way. My arrangement is already going up this way, so I'm gonna put it in the middle where it can also follow this way. So then I have these really tall moments and then she's like falling down. which is always nice for me and my arrangements. I look back on some of my arrangements that I made when I was like just starting out, and some I really like, some I really don't. And I think the number one thing with design is like to keep going and find out what you like. In the beginning, you're going with what's natural, but also you could be like trying to replicate an arrangement that you've seen online, or you're following a YouTube video or an Instagram reel where you're trying to like copy something that someone's teaching you. And one of my biggest pieces of advice is like, keep going, figure out what like feels good for you. We all like so many different things. And for me, the biggest thing is like texture, color, and shape. For you, it could be like the actual product. You could love tulips, and like every arrangement you make, you want a tulip in there. And so just go with what you like. It's important to like enjoy the art that you're creating, because that comes through in the arrangement. And it makes it feel exciting for you, which is the main thing. You want to just have a good time. I think the main thing that probably separates like a hobby from a career is just like learning. I think it's learning which flowers last in a certain season. If you have an event and it's really hot in the summer and you are about to deliver a bridal bouquet, and you know that that bridal bouquet is going to be out of the water for several hours, and the bride's going to be like tossing it around and hugging people, and it's like, it can't be super delicate. So just knowing like information and learning which flowers need like hot water, which flowers need cold water. And so literally it's just a point of like learning and like time. Time is on our side with any hobby, with any skill set. And I think it's just like leaning into that. I only have the information that I do because of people that have like taught me. And like I've been open to learning from different florists who have a lot more experience than I do. It's always like a learning game. So now that I've built like my greenery base, I started adding in some of this like tall grass that like falls forward. And I'm also adding these like really special color moments in the front of the arrangement. So we have our lilac, and we have this like really beautiful green, like almost like a lime green. And then it has this like touch of red on the tip. And so I want those to be very like forward focused. So those are going right in the front. And I'm thinking that all of these ferns are also going to be in the front, just kind of coming down, cascading, to let these really shine and have their moment as well. And then a final piece is this like dark burgundy moment, which, I mean, the arrangement is very green forward. And I think like having just these pops of dark, especially in the front, I think is going to like really, to me, add this moment that like feels just special. We do a lot of weddings. We work with a lot of like set design. We do photo shoots, branded dinners. We have like been asked to do some very interesting installations. I think one of them that was challenging but so fun was a week-long installation turning a living room into a garden. And we used all of the furniture that people had, but also like filled flowers all around it and created a meadow. It was so much fun. It was for a shoe campaign. And it was very early in my career as well. So I felt very stressed to like make it perfect. And it wasn't perfect, but it was so beautiful. And I think that that was like a great lesson for me. I overbought so much. I think it was also whenever we were still in our Bushwick apartment, which was our first floral studio. And I purchased maybe 50 like grass plants to be delivered to our studio home. And we couldn't fit them in our apartment. So they just filled the sidewalk in the middle of Bushwick, all of these plants. And I was having my team like wrap the bottom of the plant in chicken wire because that's like our base for installations. And it's such a funny thing looking back. Like I remember those photos and I'm just like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I also was having so much fun and I was like figuring it out. And it's a very fond memory to think about those early installations that people really took a chance on me and trusted me to like make something interesting when it was trial and error for me as well. And I think our home arrangement is done. I like her. I love my home because it feels like a safe place. It feels like I can go out into the city, build all these arrangements, work with these clients, sometimes have really good days, sometimes have really bad days, and I can come home to this very peaceful, safe place that feels like mine. It's a rental, but it feels like I've like created so much ownership within it, and it feels like a place that like I can have people over and we can all just rest and be at peace and celebrate. We've had so many parties in this space where people can just come and like hang, and some core values for me is having like a peaceful space, having a space where people can enjoy themselves and celebrate, where I can host and like have these celebrations of life that doesn't even have to have a huge moment. It's just like simple moments. And this space has created that for me and my family. And it's also been really special to have the garden. And that's been a new like skill that I'm trying to like build. And all my perennials are coming back up right now. And I just didn't even know that like I could do that. And I'm so excited that I can. And then we also have a music studio in this space for my husband. And over the last 2 years, he's been able to release his own music, and it's all been like produced and written in this home. So we're gonna look back on this space in like 50 years and just be so thankful for this like little haven in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, where we were able to create and build a life that feels really special. Okay, Homeworthy, it's been so much fun. I'm so happy that you were in my space. I have to go get back to work. Thank you for being here. I'll see you at the market. Bye.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Haddie. Welcome to our Brooklyn apartment. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Haddie. I'm a copywriter at a tech startup, and you're at our apartment in Brooklyn in Cobble Hill. I found this apartment. We were living upstate during COVID, and we were ready to move back to the city. And I put out a PSA on a Facebook group that's in this Brooklyn area. I put a picture up of myself, my husband, my dog, described a little bit about what we were looking for. And our landlords reached out and showed us a video of this spot, and I immediately fell in love with it. So I moved to New York back in 2016. I just graduated undergrad and moved to go get my master's here in the city. And I was living in Crown Heights at the time with roommates, and I had another apartment in Bourne Hill after that. And then COVID happened. I went upstate for a couple years and then found this apartment. So we moved back about 2 years ago. So our apartment's about 650 square feet, I'd say. So you walk through the front door, you come down a very narrow hallway. It's not that pretty. We have a shoe rack, a coat rack. It's not that exciting. And it brings you right into the kitchen, which then leads right out to the back patio. Off of the kitchen, you have the living room where we're sitting right now. And then down another small little hallway, you have the bathroom, and then finally the bedroom. So this is our living room. This is where we spend most of our time. Right here is a piece that I got from my grandparents. It's actually from a woman named Sandra Bowden. She was my mom's elementary school art teacher, and this is just an abstract painting. I believe it's supposed to be a beach scene, and it was hanging up in their home for forever, and I've always loved it. So another thing from my grandparents is this sofa. and it's actually from the 60s. It's a pull-out sofa. We have a lot of visitors in New York, so this was great to have, and we've gotten a lot of use out of it. The reason it lasted over 50 years is because they kept plastic on top of it, and I got it reupholstered in this beautiful Krypton green velvet color. And then these pillows are custom. I pick out the fabric for these, and I think just with art, it makes a beautiful little vignette. So on the walls, we have Benjamin Moore Winter Lake, which I love. We are a west-facing apartment, so we don't get a lot of light, and we are on the ground floor of a townhouse. So it's very dark and cozy, and I wanted to lean into that. So I picked a nice soft blue, and it was a pain to paint, but I loved the result, and I would do it all over again because I loved the result. And then over here we have another painting from my grandparents. They got this in Jamaica actually, and they passed away a few years ago. And before they came in and had an estate sale, all of us grandchildren were able to come and pick a few things that we loved. So I picked these two pieces and the sofa and a couple of their little trinkets, and it's great because it's a reminder of them and their beautiful pieces. And for being such traditionalists, they loved modern art. So I think that fits quite nicely with my style and aesthetic. So these bookshelves were not originally here. They were just kind of empty spaces, and clearly I love to read. I'm a huge reader, and so I knew I needed to have bookshelves here. So my mom came down and was so great and helped me build these, and they make for beautiful storage and also, you know, showing off things I've loved and collected over the years, and obviously it's like my little home library. So this is a little rooster I got in France last summer at an antique market in Nice, and I loved it because that is their national animal, I believe, and I love blue and white as well, and ceramics and pottery, so I thought this was a nice little moment on the bookshelf. Right here we have a vintage Italian mid-century modern chair, which I also got reupholstered in this beautiful blue clay fabric from Krabbit. It was this kind of jacquard floral pattern before, which is not my thing, so I got them reupholstered. And this was a Facebook Marketplace find, this bench, and it came in this horrendous fabric, so I also got that reupholstered in this beautiful Thibaut floral pattern that I absolutely love, and I think it turned out amazing. And also shout out to my mom. She owns a business that focuses on reupholstery and installation, so she's helped me recover the sofa, the bench, and the chair. And I just, again, to take something old and spin it so it reflects more of who you are in your style. I love that. So these shades were actually custom made and installed as well. So this is a beautiful Krabbit fabric that I loved. I love just the very thin stripes. Again, there's a lot of patterns and colors, so I really wanted something simple that would look beautiful against the blue. So this is our coffee table. This is another Facebook Marketplace find, and I love it. I love the burl wood. I think it's a great statement piece. Coffee tables are usually the centerpiece of a room, and so I love to fill it with things that are good conversation starters, like matchbooks and places I visited, a little chess set. Don't look too closely at the pieces because I don't have them set up right. And coffee table books of things we love. So my husband loves soccer. I love art. I have a weird obsession with the Tudor dynasty. And yeah, I think it's just a great conversation starter and a nice little way to display things you love. And then over here, we have a vintage Gerald Macabre credenza that I got at an auction house in New Jersey, and bless my husband, he rented a U-Haul and went and picked it up for me. Thank you, Kevin. It's extremely heavy, but again, it holds a lot, and I wanted something that was the width of this space right here. So when I found this online and did the measurements, it was perfect, and I knew I had to have it. And then again, same like the coffee table, just presenting things and displaying things I love, pictures of places we've been and people I love. I got this candelabra from H&M Home, which I love and encourage people to check out. They have a lot of great things. So I love also collecting frames, among many things. And you know, whether that's from an antique market or somewhere like Marshall's, I think you can find some really great pieces. So these are actually from Marshall's. This is a picture I took of my husband in Ecuador. It's where he's from, and we went horseback riding. And so I really wanted to memorialize that moment. This is me and my mom, who I love so dearly. And this is my husband and me at our wedding back in 2021. We actually got married at the house I grew up in. So again, I just think you can find great things wherever you go. I'll always prefer secondhand shopping, but like I said, Marshall's, Home Goods, Target, H&M Home, there are great things to be found there as well. So clearly the ceiling is not that high. I'm 5'10" and the ceiling's 6'8". So it does make the space, you know, along with it being on the ground floor, not getting a lot of light. It's also had the low ceilings. It presents its challenges where it can be very dark. But again, I think with the paint choices and, you know, filling it with lots of furniture, I think it's often the opposite. I think the more you fill a space with, the more cozy and actually bigger it tends to feel. And like I said, with the color, I just fully leaned into the coziness of being on a west-facing ground floor apartment. And yeah, the ceiling is low. I can't raise my hands all the way up, but that's okay. I think, especially living in New York, you can't have it all. And you really have to prioritize and pick and choose what's important to you. And, you know, I think this space fit the bill for a lot of reasons. So we love it anyway. We have the other side of the bookshelves. Again, huge reader, so love to have my little personal library, and I just kind of break up the books with little moments and little vignettes of either picture frames or things I've collected. So this piece right here is by an artist named Herman Zucker. It's an oil and canvas painting, and I believe it's a street in Peru. And I love it. I got this off of an auction as well. I love the colors. I think it fit great in this space. And I have a couple more pieces of his as well. I just love his style, and I think he's a beautiful artist. And then here, this is New York City dining table for you. Really small, really tiny. These chairs don't look too closely. Again, I need to poly these and sand them some more, but you know, they're doing the job. They're getting the job done right now. And then this table is just from Amazon. I looked high and low to find, you know, an antique that would fit this space perfectly, but sometimes you just gotta get something new, and that's okay. And it's a great little space. It's where I work from, it's where we eat, and I think this creates a beautiful little moment right here. So I'm a big proponent of shopping high and low and mixing eras. I think if you lean too heavily into all antiques or to all brand new furniture from Amazon, you run the risk of it looking like a showroom or a museum. So I think when you mix high and low and new and old, it results in this kind of beautiful, collected and cozy feeling. So this rug I got from CB2. CB2 was on our registry when we got married, and I got a lot of gift cards from it, which is great. So it helped me purchase this on mega Black Friday sale, and I love it. It's been with us for 4 years and it doesn't shed, and I think it brings in some texture to the room as well by providing a neutral base, because obviously I love color. There are a lot of competing things in the room, so I think to keep a neutral base was really important with this rug, and I think it does the trick. Here's a nice little vignette. Again, love chinoiserie, so this is another Facebook Marketplace find. I got it in Dallas, Texas, and drove it all the way back up to New York City, and I love it. So this functions as a bar cart and kind of like a catch-all. I'm not going to open it because there's just a lot of junk in there, but displaying some bottles of liquor that we love and I think are really beautiful, and again, coffee table books and flowers and candle, just to kind of zhuzh up this little hallway that leads into the bathroom. This mirror I got at an antique store in South Florida, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. I had something a bit plainer before, but swapped this out, and I think it just elevates it a little bit more. So on this side, we have a couple pieces that I adore. This one my mom actually made in college. She's an amazing artist, among other things. And then above here we have a photograph from my photography professor in college. I was a double major in art and English literature, and my photography professor just really took me under his wing. He's a great mentor, and so for my wedding, he gifted us an original piece of his, which I absolutely love, and it's really special. So when we were moving in, the entryway right here is super narrow, so we couldn't get several things in here, including the Italian mid-century modern chairs. So we had to unscrew the legs, unscrew the whole part that comes off of the bottom, and bring it up through our landlord's apartment and come back down through the patio inside this way. And we had to do that with a couple other things too. So I don't subscribe to a certain aesthetic. I more collect what I love and what I love to look at. And I think that makes for a very cozy, collected space, which is the result I want ultimately. I grew up in a Dutch colonial home in upstate New York, so a 300-year-old house, and my parents really decorated in the time period of Dutch colonial style. So I grew up around antiques, old things. You know, we didn't have a piece of IKEA furniture in our house, and as much as I wanted that growing up and was kind of jealous of my friends who had more modern builds or lived in a more modern house, I think through osmosis I just absorbed to, you know, love and cherish and appreciate older things and antiques, and I think that's reflected in my taste as I've gotten older. 90% of my house is secondhand or antique. And yeah, I think just growing up around a mom who really appreciated antiques and has a history in the design business, I think I just kind of absorbed all of that. So this apartment was very white, very sterile, very clinical. Clearly I am very colorful, I love pattern. So immediately started with painting the walls. That was the first order of business, and a lot of this furniture I've collected over the last 8 to 10 years, so I've carried it with me to each apartment that I've lived in. And yeah, just covering the walls with art, just making sure it feels cozy. We're in the garden level of a townhouse, so we don't get a lot of natural light, so it's important to me to just fill it with a lot of color to kind of liven up the space. So from the living room, I'm going to take you into the bedroom. So this is our bedroom, which I love so much. And starting over in this little corner, I have my hamper. Again, don't look too closely. I have this piece that I recently got in the Cotswolds at a little antique shop that I love. I was very much into the frame and also the very light sketch, very simple sketch. I don't know what it is, but I love it. And over here, we have another Facebook Marketplace find, this beautiful burlwood nightstand. If you can't tell, I love burlwood, and it fits a lot. Again, storage is few and far between in New York City, so every chance I get to have more storage that looks beautiful, I try to do that. And over here, I have another chinoiserie lamp that I actually got in Birmingham, Alabama at an antique store. And yeah, I have a couple more pieces up here. This I also got in the Cotswolds at an antique store. This is in original etching. It's Salvador Dali, Don Quixote that I love. Again, very simple, but beautiful. It makes a statement. This bed is from IKEA. Again, love some high-low. And this bedding is from Quince, which I love. I actually just switched it out for our fleece ones that we had, and I put on some nice linen. And I think it's a great focal point for the room. Again, have a lot of patterns and textures going on, so tried to simplify the bedding a little bit. This pillow, this lumbar pillowcase, I got at Market in Dallas, and I absolutely love it. And then these two Euro shams I got at HomeGoods. So flanking the bed, we have these sconces from Amazon, and I was really trying to find something that we didn't have to hardwire into the wall. So these are just plug in and you turn them on like that, which is great for reading light at night. This piece in the middle is just a poster of a Picasso piece, and I place it in an IKEA frame. So this jute rug I got off of Etsy, and I love a jute rug. I think it's a great rug to have in any space, but I wanted a little extra something, so I got this scalloped one, and I think it is really beautiful. And then over here we have my dog's toy bin. It's overflowing because we just can't stop spoiling her. And then behind the door, she has her lovely little bed. And that's her little cozy corner. She's a beagle, so she loves things dark and cozy. Over here, we have another piece from my grandparents, a beautiful mid-century modern dresser that's been with me in several places and is an old faithful, and I love it. If you didn't notice, we had 2 big flat screen TVs, and this kind of goes back to, how do you balance keeping something aesthetic, but also making sure it's functional, and living with your partner with different styles. And like I said, my husband has been great and has let me take the reins on design, but his non-negotiable was to have a big flat screen TV. So it's a little big for my liking, but I actually do love it, relaxing in bed and watching YouTube or whatnot, or a Homeworthy tour. Over in this corner, we have another IKEA piece, which I love. It doesn't look IKEA, but I love it, and I needed a place for fit checks before I walk out the door. On this wall, I have 2 prints that my sister actually made. She's a letterpress designer and does invitations, and she gifted these to me for Christmas, and I love to have them on display. Coming over here, we have this beautiful light sconce, again with the Amazon fake candles because it's very close to the ceiling. And again, I think they look really realistic, and I love it. I got that at an auction in upstate New York. Here is the twin to the other Italian mid-century modern chair. I moved it in here because there wasn't enough space to have the pair of them in the living room. So here it's a nice little moment, a good place to put on my shoes in the morning, or to sit and read, or have my morning coffee as the morning light's filtering through this window. And it's a nice spot. So I love living in Brooklyn because it's a little bit quieter from Manhattan, not as many skyscrapers, a lot of mom and pop shops, a lot of great restaurants, a lot of brownstones, townhouses, very family orientated, a lot of green space. So I much prefer it to the busyness of Manhattan. Over here, we have a tall boy dresser that I actually got in upstate New York at an estate sale. My husband and I were driving and saw a sign on the yard and immediately peeled in because we just had to see what they have, and I can't resist an estate sale. And so we found this, and I think it was $50, and again, has been with me for a few years and is an old faithful and can hold a lot, which again, in New York City, you need storage. That's imperative. I have my perfumes, I have my jewelry. So one of my favorite artists is Hermannius Bosch, and this is a little section of his work, The Garden of Earthly Delights. And so again, just another IKEA frame, and popped that right in there. This is really special. This is my wedding invitation suite. My sister made it, and it's a work of art, clearly, and my mom had it framed and set up for me as a Christmas present, and I just love to look at it. It was such a special day, and it's just a great reminder of, all the work that went into one of the best days of our lives. So these are actually handmade cornices. Again, mom to the rescue, she helped me. This is a Thibaut fabric, and again, I think it just really matches pretty perfectly with the color on the wall. This is Benjamin Moore oilcloth, and I think it's just a very nice, cozy, calming color, and I've tried to bring this color throughout the room. So whether it's, the pillows or some of the art, and these cornices are great because we had just these Amazon draperies that weren't doing much, honestly, and I think these make more of a statement, and they're just really beautiful. So those are a recent addition. And over here we have my husband's desk. And again, I think what's important to note that not every corner in your home is going to be perfect. I don't think everything needs to be staged. Like, this is real life. We both work remote. We both work from home. And, he's a big Arsenal fan. He has his little trinket corner over here. And yeah, I love it. Like I said, I think a space should reflect the both of you. And this might not be my first choice of things to display, but it's his, and it makes the space us and ours, which I think is really important. And above his desk is this lithograph from Marc Chagall, again, another one of my favorite artists, and I found this at an auction in upstate New York, and I love it. And I think it really ties in nicely, the colors with the cornice and patterns, and yeah, this is his little corner. So with rentals, especially in New York City, I think it's something about 70% of people rent in New York. So I think it's really, or I'm a huge proponent of investing in your rental, whether that's with paint or built-in bookshelves like we built behind us, and really making the space your own, because like I said, just the culture in New York City is mostly renters. And so I'm a big believer in investing in your space, whether that's paint or artwork. You know, structurally, maybe not, I don't know, I'd leave that up to whoever is living in that space. You know, there's ideally, if I could, there'd be a few things I would change here, like maybe some kitchen cabinetry, but ultimately I think I found a good balance between injecting myself and my husband into the space and reflecting our personality while also not spending too much money above our rent. So this is the kitchen, and I think for a New York City kitchen, it's on the bigger side, which I love. I'm not the best cook, but I'm a good cook, and I feel like I have a lot of space to move around and do what I need to do. Starting over here, just, you know, have the tools, but my brother actually made me this butcher's block for Christmas this past Christmas, which I love and I've gotten a lot of use out of already. And then moving over here, we have this Target frame and this postcard from Spain of the Sagrada Familia that I just popped in there, and I think it makes a nice little vignette right here over this. So I don't actually know what this was supposed to be. I got this at an antique store in Dallas a few months ago, and I just love the design. I love the bamboo, but to me it looked like a wine rack, so it's a wine rack now, and I love it. I think it's a nice moment to put things on display. If someone knows what this is actually for, please let me know. And then this mat right here I actually got from V-Mats, and I'm not crazy about this tile floor, but I just popped this mat over and I think it brightens up the space a little bit more, which I love. Over here we installed these floating shelves because just for some more storage, and you know, just things I've collected. So these glasses I got at Home Goods. These beautiful coupes I got at an antique store in upstate New York. These bowls I got at a thrift store in Japan, along with these cups that I love. And yeah, just really try to incorporate the blue and white throughout. As you can see on the end there, I have those hanging plates. So one is from an antique store in London, and then this is from a thrift store in Japan. So I also love to display stuff that I've collected over travels. You know, I'm not just looking at museums and places to go eat. I'm usually looking up the closest antique store to where we're staying, and always try to hit one up and bring stuff home from our travels. So these canisters I got in Birmingham, Alabama. I know you guys have probably heard me say stuff like Dallas, Birmingham. We have family down there, so every year we pack up the car, take the dog, do the road trip all the way down to Dallas, Birmingham, and finally Florida. And honestly, the South has the best antique markets. So we go down with an empty car and come back with it chock full, but it's great. And then up here, just some copper molds that I collect, another thing that I collect, and you'll see another one over there above the stove. And then just our boring appliances, a little coffee station. And then finally over here, this is a painting I found in upstate New York, and it wasn't framed, and I went and picked out this frame and got it framed, and I loved it. And I think it's a nice little balance of color throughout the space, because again, the kitchen is very white and sterile, so tried to inject as much color as I could and texture to kind of reflect more of my style. My dream kitchen would be a kitchen done by Duval. These are IKEA and this butcher block top. And again, in New York City, you have to pick and choose. Nothing's gonna be perfect, and that's okay. I think what marks a great designer, not that I am one, but is someone who can work with what they have and transform it without doing major reconstruction. So my husband is lovely and amazing, and he knows that interior design and decor and antiquing is a huge passion of mine. So he kind of lets me run with, you know, designing and what I love. But I think what's important is when you live with someone is that your home reflects the both of you and what the both of you love. So you'll see soccer books. He's a huge soccer person. He works in soccer, so you'll see soccer coffee table books. You'll see, you know, later on in the bedroom, you'll see some of his like trinkets because he loves Pokemon and stuff like that. So I think it's about balancing a beautiful space and aesthetic, but also making sure it's functional and it reflects the people living in it. I think so often people decorate for other people and not so much thinking about how you're going to live in the space and that you're going to spend the most time in the space. So I think it's important that you decorate it in a way that's reflective of whoever's living in it. So this is our backyard, our back patio, and this is Maple. This is the light of my life. She's our rescue from Tennessee. And yeah, so this is our patio. It's great for entertaining, relaxing. We can honestly use it 7-8 months out of the year, which is really great. And it's a great place to host and have parties, have my morning coffee, and let her out to go to the bathroom so we don't have to strap her up and take her out on the street. And she loves to sunbathe here as well. This set I got from Target, and this sofa actually was here when we got here. I think the previous owner left it, but it ended up matching really nicely with the rest of the set. And yeah, just had a couple plants potted just to bring in some more greenery. And honestly, it's pretty quiet back here for being in the middle of the city. It's not that noisy. So again, it's kind of a nice little relaxation moment and feels like an extension of the apartment. So we're really lucky to have this space. The best hosts, you know, I'm not like a Martha Stewart or anything, but I guess my hosting tip would be coming up from a perfectionist. Not everything has to be perfect. Like, there are a lot of things people will not even notice and they're gonna overlook that you think they might see, but really they're not gonna see it. So whether that's a chip on the furniture or a stain, no one's gonna see that, so don't fuss over the small stuff. So home to me is your sanctuary. Living in New York City, it's very loud and crazy and a lot's going on, obviously. So to have a place where you can have a bit of rest and relaxation and calming, and that is what I try to make my home. I want people to feel relaxed when they enter my home and welcome and, you know, able to kick their feet up. And I know my home is filled with a lot of old things, but nothing's too precious, and I don't want my space to feel like a museum and too stuffy. So I want people to feel like they can come and relax and enjoy the space with me. Thanks so much for coming to visit Homeworthy. We loved having you. I have an Arsenal match to catch, so I'll see you later.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.